Thank you all for being here with us. We put this show on for you to show the whole world what we're up to and what's coming from Bethesda over the next year. There's also a lot of folks joining us on YouTube and Twitch right now. So hello to all of you, wherever you are in the world joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome also to my colleagues from Bethesda and all of our studios who are here in attendance tonight. Thank you guys for being here as well. As well as all of our colleagues who couldn't be here and are watching online and then stayed up till the middle of the night in Europe. We have our friends down in Sydney who had a special party with the fans just to tune in and watch. So hello to all of them. Welcome to all of our retail partners who are here, members of the press, our supporters, friends, and last but not least, our fans.
So hello, and hello to all of our friends and all of our supporters and all of our fans, and to Ben and to Gary and to Ben and Jerry's and to Ben Affleck and Jerry Lewis and Michael Jackson and everyone else who's not here, which pretty much makes up most of the world. Hello! If Pete Hines missed one single shout out on that conference, if he missed one single shout out, I don't even know. That guy was incredible. What's up, gamers? Episode 16 for E3 2015 reactions. It has been E3 week all week this week, and it has been pretty fun for the most part. There's been some disappointing moments here and there, but that's what we're here to discuss. And I will not be discussing this stuff alone, because with me I have the Queen of Gods and Monsters, QueenQ.
Hey, what's up?
How are you?
I am just getting over an illness. I think after going to see the PlayStation Experience, I got super sick from all the excitement. So I'm stoked.
It's just so much joy and so much energy. It just takes everything out of you, doesn't it?
Oh my God! It was like, every year I tell people watching E3 is like my own personal Super Bowl. I get chips, snacks, alcohol, whatever. I party, I scream, I yell. And I got to do all of that, so I can't wait to discuss it with you guys.
I hope you get to come to the E3 experience again next year. That was fun.
Planning on it.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And with us also, we have the guy who was a comforter on a cold night, Ben Shillabeer Hall. How are you?
I'm not too bad after that sentence.
I'm gonna just start giving people. I couldn't think of anything. Like, I gave Queen that the Queen of Gods and Monsters. I was like, I have to give Ben something. What do I say? So, I'm probably just gonna start doing that from now on. What's up, man?
Not too much, really. Just playing games after trying to get down from that amazing E3 experience recently.
What are you playing?
An MMO called Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, okay.
Their new expansion comes out next week, but anyone who pre-ordered it got early access.
There's been a lot of talk about MMOs, especially Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh yeah, I've got Elder Scrolls Online actually.
How is that?
The most generic game I've ever played in my life.
That's unfortunate. Actually, I have a friend who decided to rent it from Redbox and wasn't impressed, but he didn't go into details. It's
a good game, I'll give it that, but it's very Elder Scrolls. It's just like they've got. If you like Elder Scrolls, you'll love this. But it feels like they've just put Skyrim online and not really done anything else. Even the MMO parts, like with the party, if you're in a party with friends, sometimes quests will be shared, sometimes quests won't be shared, sometimes quest markers will be there for one person, sometimes they won't be. sometimes something else will happen. So it's very hard to work as a team in an MMO, which for an MMO is not how an MMO should work. So yeah.
Yeah, I really want to be a little kinder to Bethesda, but
I kind of do, but it's very generic.
it's kind of hard to. Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm doing right now in it. I'm level 22.
Oh, okay. So you've had a little time in it.
Yeah, I had a little. Well, if you got my mate bought the collector's edition, so he got the wedding ring. If you get married in the game, you get a 10% XP bonus.
Okay.
Oh.
So,
All right, guys.
he's a male Highlander, and I'm a small fat white albino lizard with a beer belly.
It's going to be a pretty busy episode, so I'm going to push this right forward here and probably breeze through some of our tweets. I've been on Twitter a lot this week, and it's been a lot of fun. Back on Monday, at Know It Man, Josh Bailey said, "Is anyone else waiting in line for the E3 experience?" Yes. QueenQ and I were both in line for the well, QueenQ was in line. I was off trying to finish a smoothie as quickly as possible. But like that messed me up. Like my insides were cold because it was like a big giant planet smoothie kind of thing, and it took forever. But that aside, yes, we went to E3 Experience and it was amazing. At Shifty25, he was kind of tweeting with us. He said that the theater experience was perfectly, the reactions to everything were great, and we are going to talk about that pretty soon here. Some of these tweets are related to stuff that we'll be talking about later, so I'm just going to reference most of them as we go along, and if we miss anything, we'll cover it next week. I'm just gonna do a quick scroll through here, just as a little note here. I saw a tweet from Gary, and it said, "This E3 2015 has so much good stuff, and so much disappointment. F you Nintendo for that crap you call a new Metroid Prime Federation Force." He did not like Nintendo's E3 2015. He did not like it. And neither did I. We'll get to that pretty soon too. There's just a lot of tweets. Let's just go right into it. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the big three, shall we?
Okay.
Microsoft was the first of the Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo triage there. And it opened with the head of 343 Industries, Bonnie Ross, to talk about Halo 5, and I believe Gary on the last episode was convinced that they would be spending a good 20 to 30 minutes on Halo 5. And I'm not sure that they did. I don't remember that much. I just don't really feel like there was an overdose of Halo 5. It looks good.
They didn't spend too long on it. I did sit through all of it. I did watch. I'm not a big Halo person, but I felt if you were a Halo fan, you got what you came for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I do appreciate Halo because, I mean, to be honest, it's really hard to impress me with a shooter because it's such a specific genre. It's like, you know, you can change a lot of different things about shooters, but when it all boils down to it, it still plays pretty much the same. It's a shooter. That's what it is. And Halo 5, Halo, I appreciate because it has enough things about it that are different to keep it from feeling too generic. If that makes sense.
Like, we were sitting through the Doom one, and I wasn't very impressed with the Doom demo. I'm sorry, I didn't think it was all that great. However, sitting through the Halo one wasn't nearly as torturous.
No, I mean, there's a lot of new stuff in it, and it looks fantastic. There's this big kind of storyline rivalry, I guess, between the Hunter and Master Chief Collection and Master Chief. And it looks like there's a lot more interesting stuff in it. It comes out holiday this year, so it's not too far away. And it also discussed the Warzone PvP. Do you guys remember anything about that?
I did see the Warzone PvP. I guess if you're big into PvP, that looks like it's going to be awesome. I don't do too much of the online PvP. I do a lot of co-op type stuff. But if PvP is what you're in for, then you're not going to be disappointed. At least I don't feel like you're going to be disappointed.
See, I don't blame you for staying away from PvP too much because people are dicks.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be quite blunt. Like, it's a game, but people will act like it's the end of the world. And it's like, I love the game, but I could do without that. League of Legends is a prime example of people being douchebags. So, that's what...
Yeah, when it comes to PvP, I will only play with other friends. That's it. I won't play with, like, tons of people. So.
Yeah. Let's see. Ben, what's up?
I'm just listening. I have the complete opposite. I thought that Halo trailer was pretty rubbish, if I'm honest.
You thought it was rubbish?
Halo is well known for its epic, like, even if you can't access it, it's always the, epic scope and epic, backgrounds, epic skyboxes. It's just amazing looking graphics, even if it isn't, you can't access it, you can see it in the distance. Yet that trailer showed nothing like that. It was very linear from what I saw.
It was linear?
Yeah, it was all sort of enclosed. Well, Halo's never really, apart from a few levels, never really enclosed. It's always like big open spaces.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And I thought it was just, I don't know, that was disappointing with it, in my opinion.
It did, visually, it did look a lot better, a lot cleaner than a lot of the previous Halo games.
Well, that's because it's on Xbox One instead of Xbox 360.
Well, yes, but I also meant in terms of like the UI, the mini-map, the colors, the things that it uses.
I agree with that. Well, the colors, again, it was a lot less colourful than previous games.
Mm-hmm.
It was more, like, Call of Duty-ified, I guess. With more greys and blacks than purples and pinks, like the old Halos.
That's true.
Again, it's just, I don't know. It looked good. I'm not going to give it that. I thought it was impressive, but at the same time, it worries me of what angle they're going to take it. If it's all like that, very linear, very dark, very gritty, very, then it's not the Halo that most people loved.
Well, honestly, I don't think it's been the Halo that most people loved since Bungie
Halo
left.
3. Yeah. And that's,
I heard you start to speak, Queen.
Oh,
yes,
you mentioned about the color, when they choose certain colors to develop a certain aesthetic. When they leave out those pinks and those purples, like you say, it does take away from the science or the sci-fi feel of it. I feel, and it makes it, like you said, more Call of Duty. It does.
Yeah, it starts to make it feel more generic, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. He's right, and it's those colors that kind of clue us in as to what game you're going to be playing aesthetically.
Aesthetically speaking.
Yeah.
As I said, it wasn't a bad thing, not a bad trailer, but at the same time, it's just worrying what could be. Yeah.
Well, we can only hope. Definitely Halo is one of the definitive Xbox franchises. So I'm hoping that they know what they're doing and that they're being careful. But if anything, Halo does not need to be its generic.
No.
So.
And Halo 4 was kind of generic in places because of the multiplayer.
Yeah, the multiplayer, again, for a shooter, just kind of feels the same all across the board.
But they're adding like kill streaks, they're adding bro fists, they're adding all that lot of stuff from like Call of Duty. And
yeah.
I mean, at the end of a Spartan op, I thought a lot of people hate it, but I think it's actually pretty badass. Your character will bro fist your teammates if you win.
Better than teabagging.
They're like, they're like cheering, like, like, ooh, we did it, and they're like, fist, giving each other the fist and stuff.
I feel like that needs to be a hashtag, Queen.
Better than teabagging.
Better than all right. Oh my goodness. Microsoft promised, by the way, the greatest games lineup in Xbox history. And just in general, do you feel like they delivered on this?
Well, to be fair, it's their greatest lineup in Xbox history, which, to be fair, depends on what type of history, what part of the history you're looking at.
Well, I mean, if you look at the fact that Microsoft really has never been, until now, into the whole first-party, exclusive, single-player type thing, I mean, that's been PlayStation's strength for a few generations now. Xbox has been focusing more on the online side of things. So, I mean, to be honest, I feel like anything that they would have brought to the table in the way of first-party exclusives would add up to the greatest games lineup in Xbox history. It's like, finally, we're getting a good amount of exclusives, a good array of single-player adventures, a good array of big first-party titles on the Xbox. I mean, that feels pretty big for them, doesn't it? But
I agree, it does.
But as far as, their overall showing, how did you feel about the conference?
It was a good conference. There was a lot of good games that, the Tomb Raider was, again, even more generic, but it did look good. Gears of War 1 got me excited. Wasn't that excited for Gears of War 4. Again, it was, as everyone said, it was way too dark. Screen was just too dark. I couldn't see what was going on half the time.
Oh, actually dark.
Yeah, no. The screen was like completely pitch black. It was like, why pick this trailer? It's nighttime in a dark area, going down dark alleys.
And
he's got no lights.
As far as the dark,
and it's foggy.
As far as the dark that Queen, I think, was talking about, I think a lot of gamers prefer that kind of dark, don't they?
My Gears of War experience, I've played through 1 through 3, and I love the campaign so much in that game. And there is that kind of dire, almost Attack on Titan-esque, it's the entire world against this small few thing, kind of dark going on, but they never fail to keep you at least laughing. Coltrane runs on whole grain, shit like that. You still found reason to laugh. So I wouldn't want Gears of War to get too dark. It's already at that tipping point for me where it was almost depressingly dark. I was like, oh my god, this I can't remember the name of the guys, but in each game you get one of these guy's brothers and they keep dying.
Brothers always die in every game, don't they?
Yeah, it was getting kind of dark.
A new brother comes and then he dies. As soon as the name comes up, he's going to die.
Yeah, it was so effed up.
So it's like the Game of Thrones of the gaming world.
It was like Kenny from South Park more than anything else.
It really was. And they would always make a comment, there was a helmet situation at one point. And what do you know? He takes off his helmet, he gets shot in the head.
Don't take off your helmet, people. Never take off your helmet.
But no, what I mean is the actual colouring was really dark. Not that. But there was one bit that did make me laugh in a way though. You got like a someone coming through like a codex or whatever you call it, like I can't think of the word now. Like a phone sort of thing. Where you get sent messages.
Oh yeah.
Earpiece or whatever it's called. Don't touch those pods; they're dangerous. And the first thing he does is turn around and grabs hold of it.
Nice.
Don't touch it. Okay. Press X to touch.
Nice. Yes. It's like that. Don't press the red button kind of thing.
Yeah. And he gets electric shot and poisoned.
ReCore is one of the new first-party exclusives announced for Microsoft. Do you guys remember ReCore?
Yes. This is the one with the girl, and she has a little robot dog, and she's able to literally ReCore, pull out his core and put it in another robot to get it to come to life again.
I mean,
I think it was Jim Sterling that I watched that had the funniest thing for that. I'll say it afterwards.
It looked it looked really interesting. I didn't really get the gist of the point of the game. Only this kind of method of pulling the core out of one creature and putting it into another and having that same creature still exist. It looked, I can't really tell. Is this like a big AAA game for them? Is this just like a little side project for them? But it looked interesting. It's coming out spring next year.
It's one of those games that kind of pisses me off about E3, where they give you 2 minutes of a video, but it doesn't tell you shit. Didn't tell me shit.
It didn't tell me that much.
Yeah, it was more like, okay, well, I understand that you can literally recore your little buddy robot, but I didn't take much more away from that.
And the problem with not getting much out of the trailer is now I can't really be excited for the game because I don't really know what it is.
Yeah, I'm a little lost. Is it going to be a third-person adventure? Is it going to be like a puzzle game?
An RPG?
Yeah, is it going to be an RPG? What is it?
Action adventure? Is it going to be?
To be honest, it reminds me a little bit of that, what was that Mark Cerny title from 2013 called? With the guy who could split into like a billion pieces?
Knack.
Knack. It reminded me a little bit of Knack.
Yeah.
Yeah, there just isn't enough there for me to really make an opinion. And if I did have to make an opinion based off of what I saw, I'm not ready to put money into it.
Mm-hmm. What was this Jim Sterling reference you
I think it was Jim Sterling that said it. I'm trying to remember. I think it was him. I was watching the E3. A joke saying the fact that nowadays games are all about emotions. And dogs dying is always part of these emotion games. And now you can have a dog die, and then you can bring it back, and then die again for even more emotions.
Nice.
The dog game dynamic. Yeah, I was first exposed to that in Fable, or if you really want to go further back, Pikachu version of Pokemon, where you got the little Pikachu.
Yellow.
Yeah, Pokemon Yellow. There you go. The dog! Bringing back the dog idea. I don't know how I feel about it.
Which is so interesting, because Fallout 4 has a dog in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was
And I found out that the dog in Fallout 4 actually cannot die. I believe the developer said because if the dog dies, well, that's an automatic respawn for you, too. So...
but the dog will die in the storyline.
Oh, probably.
It'll be at the end.
Does he really?
Once you've had a bond with it. Once you've bonded with the dog and feel really nice and happy.
That's when they get you.
You'll get a choice. It'll be something like keep the dog alive, or send the dog off to hit a bomb to stop an nuclear bomb or something like that.
It's true though.
I'm gonna write this down, and I'm very interested to see how correct you are with this. So
it'll be some, not nuclear bomb, but something that's, you have to either have a choice of either saving a load of people and having your dog die, or letting them all die and your dog lives.
So there's those two predictions from Ben. One, in Fallout 4, the dog dies in the story. Yeah. And two, he dies by player choice, greater good kind of scenario.
Or you give it away to an orphan child that dies in the bomb explosion anyway.
Oh, well, that's just sad.
I'm a dark person.
No.
Then you find out the orphan child was, the parents were killed by the dog before you found him.
Oh, my word.
Oh, we're terrible, terrible people. As far as Xbox's overall conference, though, it was good. I think two of my biggest points with it are, one, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with a virtual reality helmet. They were showcasing Minecraft or something.
The HoloLens, yes. We talked about the HoloLens a few times. Actually, I don't think I showed you the tech demo for the HoloLens. I'll have to show you that.
Is that the one with the guy and he's got the menu and it's a physical menu? You can get up and walk around the room and pick things up and put it down?
Yeah, which is interesting because they were all talking about how there are no menus. And then he goes and opens up, ta-da, a menu. It's like a different looking menu, but it's a menu nonetheless. But actually, let's save HoloLens for just a moment because there was actually a lot of VR stuff for E3 this year. And I want to talk about Phil Spencer because he came out. This was probably the biggest moment of Xbox's E3 conference. Phil Spencer came out, he talked for a bit, and he said one line here, and he said that gamers are the center of everything we do, which is, to me, representative of how far Xbox has come since 2013. Because when Xbox was revealed in 2013, gamers were unhappy because it didn't look like there was much for gamers on the system at all. It was all about TV this and TV that. And we've gone from that to gamers are the center of everything we do. And yes, it's definitely a PR line. I mean, don't even pretend. That's a PR line all the way. But I think it also shows in the actions that Xbox has been taking lately. This he said right before dropping the biggest news of the entire conference. The Xbox One will be backward compatible this holiday 2015. It will be able to play games from Xbox 360. To my understanding, not all games from Xbox 360, but probably most of them. This got a gigantic reaction from the crowd. I thought people were going to cry. It's definitely a feature on across both brands, across Xbox and PlayStation, that people have been asking for a long time. Not just this generation, but last generation too. If you remember last generation, the PlayStation 3 was backward compatible for a short amount of time, and then they took that away. So this was huge for them. It's interesting to me that you have to put the disc in and then download the game in order to play. It's not like it doesn't run off the disc. You actually still download the game from the internet. And, but one really great thing about it is multiplayer in games will work across the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. So you can play Call of Duty Black Ops on the Xbox One and play with people from the Xbox 360. I found it really odd that they were really touting that it works with the Xbox One features. That, you know, you could, on your Xbox One, you could still say, hey, take a screenshot or record that and that sort of stuff. I found it weird how they were acting like that was so revolutionary, because there was nothing in my mind that said it shouldn't, or that said it might not do that. You know, it's the Xbox One. I figured that that was kind of a given. And then they finished it off with a nice little shot at PlayStation Now. Mike Ibarra, he said, we won't charge you to play the games you already own. So, how do you feel? How do you feel about all the backward compatibility finally in Generation 8?
Well, I want to say, first off, I want to say to them, now, was that really that hard? Like, you know, we've been raising a effing fuss about backwards compatibility. You're saying it to me in an almost insulting manner, like, oh my god, guess what? Backwards compatibility. I've only been, like, asking for this since I was, like, 10 with any system I get. Like, can I play the old games from the old system too? That's all we ever wanted. Why are you just now, like, catching up? And I feel like a lot of this E3 was the game companies catching up with its audience.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of that going on. So I'm happy for you, Xbox. Thank you. And that didn't hurt, did it?
I'm so glad you're here, Queen. I really am. No, I'm with you. I mean, since last generation, we were hearing, well, it's not really possible. It costs extra money. There has to be extra hardware. I don't understand why there has to be extra hardware. My computer can emulate games off of any system. You know, it's possible. I don't have the software for it. I haven't downloaded it, but it's possible. I don't understand why that's a hardware thing. It's definitely a software thing. Unless
it's a little bit of both.
Unless the software is looking for certain types of hardware, like maybe it's looking for a certain motherboard and it locks out.
Well, that's why console games can do what they do, because they do look for certain processes that the graphics card do. That's why we won't see. I would be surprised if we see PS3's backwards compatibility, because the cell was such a confusing beast to program for.
Well, we did have it for a little bit, didn't we?
Oh yeah, with the PlayStation 3?
Yeah, the PlayStation 3, the fat PlayStation 3.
No, but I meant, yeah, but I said because that's the PS2, don't you mean? I meant the PS4 backwards compatible with PS3. That is not really going to happen.
Yeah, because those had the cell processor games.
Yeah, and the first PS3s actually had the PS2 in them.
Ah!
It's kind of a shame that the cell processor it crippled the PlayStation a little bit last generation, and now that is reaching forward to this generation. You
do know that Crazy Ken wanted no GPU in the PS3 originally.
Really?
He wanted 2 cell processors.
That would have not...
That's
2 cell processors.
Yeah, because he wanted one for the GPU and one for the CPU. That was the original plan. That's why the GPU on the PS3 is worse than the Xbox. Because it wasn't until just before release that they realised that it wouldn't work. And that's why it got delayed.
Well, as far as it goes this year, I believe that it's definitely possible, and it's definitely something that should be looked into. I don't know how complex it is, but I'm definitely convinced that it's still possible. That said, that line at the end from Mike Ibarra, "We won't charge you to play the games you already own," that was very clearly a shot at PlayStation Now, and I say that because it came out of nowhere. Like, there was absolutely no context around that. Literally, I looked around the internet, and some of the comments people were saying was, well, you know, we didn't think you were going to, but thanks for clearing that up, you know? And I find that interesting because the purpose of PlayStation Now wasn't necessarily to charge you for games you already own. I mean, as far as all marketing went, it was all about, you know, there are games that you probably haven't gotten to play on previous system or on the previous system. Well, now you have the chance to play those games. And
you can play them any way you want as well.
Exactly. It's not just about playing the games. It's the long-term goal for PlayStation Now is you'll be able to play these PS3 games on your cell phone and on your Vita and on your TV, your Sony TV without a console and that sort of thing. It was never about, hey, here's backward compatibility for the system. But so I find that really interesting. I find all these cute little shots that they take at each other kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah.
There was definitely less context to this one than to the famous, "This is how you share games on the PlayStation 4" from 2013.
Oh, that was brutal.
I loved that one. I absolutely loved that one. So there was like no context to this one, but I found it interesting that he said that.
You know what I'm going to wait to see, though?
Say it again?
You know what I can't wait to see?
What's that?
When hackers modify the PS4 to run the Xbox games.
Do you think that'll happen?
Well, both the Xbox and Xbox One and PS4 have the same hardware.
For the most part, yes.
And the reason why you have to download games is because the download has an emulator that makes the game think it's running on the 360 OS.
Mm-hmm.
So all they have to do is literally backwards compile it and then change a little bit of it to make it run on the PS4. Because the hardware is exactly the same, so the same callouts they would be using for the Xbox would still be on the PS4. It's the same CPU and GPU.
Let me ask you guys this. They said I don't know if they said it on E3 or sometime around E3, they said that they didn't think that they could do it. They said they didn't think it's some big technological feat. We didn't think we could bring backward compatibility to Xbox One, but here it is. Do you buy that?
No, not at all. Not at all.
What makes you think that it was, or let me ask this, what makes you think that they are BSing you about that?
How casual they were about it. Like, they were just so like, and guess what? Now it's backwards compatible. They were just so casual. They made this such a huge stink about it before. They're like, no, it's too much. It's all this, it's all that. And now this go around, they're like, and guess what? It's backwards compatible. And I'm like, but what about all that painstaking work it takes to get there? You're telling me I can just like put a little patch on it and now it'll just do it? You guys are assholes.
That reminds me kind of the whole flip the switch thing from back in 2013 where they were saying, oh, we can't possibly turn off our DRM. It's not possible. We can't do it. And then 2 weeks later, oh, our DRM's gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 2 weeks later they were like, oh, our bad. We never said that.
Oh, goodness. That reminds me of Don Matrick. Let's move on. Definitely backward compatibility was a big thing for Xbox One. That said, I really don't understand the reaction or the demand for backward compatibility. I am not going to say at all that backward compatibility is a bad thing for the Xbox One. It adds a whole lot of value to the system. It adds a lot of value to the Xbox One, and that's definitely what it needed. It needed value, especially with the fact that the PlayStation 4 is selling so far ahead of it right now. It needed every reason it could think of to give people to buy an Xbox One instead of a PlayStation 4. That said, I mean, I think I told you this too, Queen, after we were watching the Microsoft conference. I said, in 3 years from now, how many 360 games do you think you'll be playing?
God. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking about my current collection, and it's so hard to tell because I fall victim to, if I'm getting a new system and that game exists on the new system, well, bye-bye old game. I'm just going to buy it for the new system.
Precisely. I mean, something like backward compatibility is great to have. It adds value to the system. But it's really only useful for the beginning, the first 4 years or so of the generation. It's not really that useful later on because all of the newer games are coming out for that system.
Yeah, when it's first starting out and it's first starting to get steam, you and this happens to everybody. You buy a new system and you're like, crap, all I have are like 1 or 2 games. And you immediately, in that instance, go back to trying to play old games until you can get something new for your new system. And gradually you switch over, and, you know, as years pass.
This is something that would have been fire for the launch of the Xbox One. Because for Xbox One and PS4, there wasn't a whole lot of reasons to buy either of those consoles then. I mean, coming from a guy who pre-ordered a PS4, you know, you buy the thing and it sits on the shelf and there are a few games you play them and you're done. And it's like, okay, now what? There's nothing out there for them because the console just got there. If they're backward compatible, you can safely pack up your 7th generation system, sell it, do whatever you have to do, and you feel confident that you can still play the games that you like. And you can actually use your new system. Now we're a few years into the generation, and I feel like the reasons for backward compatibility are kind of dwindling. We're still early enough that people are going to get really good use out of it. But in the future, I don't see it being that much of a thing that people use.
Well, especially since everything's going digital anyway.
Precisely. Even these games are going digital.
It does have a few issues as well.
Oh?
Digital Foundry tested Mass Effect 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sometimes going down to 15 frames a second in places, and it was lagging.
Oh, that's a shame. Especially considering it's a last generation game on a more powerful system.
Emulating old stuff is not as easy as it sounds.
No, it's not. But it's like...
That's why when you're doing when people on PC, they always recommend that your PC is twice the power of the thing you're emulating. That's the recommended specs,
because
at least.
When you emulate something, it's like running a virtual machine, isn't it? It's not just like opening the software on your existing thing. The emulator actually has to pretend to be that system that it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So,
but for unofficial emulators, it's a lot harder because they have to guess what they are. That's why Microsoft has a slightly easier chance, because they've got all the BIOS information and all the hardware calls that the game developers would be using already at their fingertips because they made the hardware.
Right.
But people that are backwards, illegally making emulators, they have a harder trouble, and that's why they need more specs than, say, Don Matrick.
Right, Don Matrick.
He probably didn't make it, but it's the first name off the top of my head.
So, well, Xbox One's backward compatibility is going to hit on holiday 2015, as well as a few other things that came out or that were announced after the Microsoft press conference. One of those being the new Microsoft experience, the new Xbox experience, I should say. And this is not a press conference like Sony's PlayStation E3 experience. It's actually a completely new UI for the Xbox One, which is a big deal to me. I think this is going to be the first time we've seen a total UI change in the middle of the generation.
They did it with 360.
Did they really?
Because when I first bought it, it had the I got it the day it came out. It had the vertical sliding menus.
Okay.
And then a couple months in, it changed it to what you see now.
That's right. They did have that. I didn't have a 360, so that's why I'm misinformed.
No, it's fine. You had to catch it early on to even see it.
Well, it looks like that's what it's going back to. We're going to have some vertical sliding menus. I'm not sure. I've kind of gotten attached to the whole tile thing. I think it has its perks. I think it's kind of messy in some places. I think there are places they could tighten things up and make it better. But it looks nice. I haven't seen enough of the UI. All I've seen is a little teaser thing, which I think I've already put on Twitter, but I'll tweet again just to keep everyone informed. But it looks pretty clean. It looks nice. It has vertical sliding things, just like the original design on the Xbox 360. And probably most notably, it has Cortana. Cortana was definitely a character in Halo, but it has also become Microsoft's version of Siri on its mobile phones, and now it is coming to the Xbox. And it's pretty interesting the level of integration that this Cortana feature has, because in the trailer for the new Xbox experience, someone asked, "Hey Cortana, how many quests, what's the next quest that I can play?" And Cortana answered with information from the game, "This is the next quest you can play." So if you have this voice assistant thing that is this integrated into the game that you're playing, that it can give you information about the game you're playing and about your progress in the game, that's something that sounds welcome to me. I feel like they're definitely going to use this to sell some more Kinects. But,
yeah, because you cannot use it without Kinect.
No, because Kinect is your microphone. I mean, I suppose it would also make sense to be able to plug a microphone into the controller and do that, but not a thing yet, as far as I've heard.
No, which is a lot of people, laugh at, because, you can use it on your phone, and that doesn't have Kinect, so.
Yeah. Exactly.
The whole voice thing, I had to connect with my 360 for a while. I had a roommate who let me borrow hers, and there's one thing that they could do to improve it 100-fold, and they should just install a very tiny button on the controller somewhere comfortable on it, and you should be able to press this button so it will know to receive a voice command instead of just like shouting stuff at it.
I think that's a good idea. And it would also take care of the whole thing with, watching TV and someone says something and your Xbox thinks it's a voice command.
Yeah, I watched a movie one time and it said, it goes, "Stop!" And it made my Xbox stop playing the movie.
That's interesting, though, because usually there's kind of an action word, and that's Xbox. So usually you can't just say stop, you have to say Xbox stop. It won't respond to just stop.
Remember that troll advert where the guy said Xbox turn off, or what it was?
Yes,
turned people's Xboxes.
There was one thing where someone was playing Call of Duty and he changed his name to Xbox Go Home. And people would he'd do stupid stuff in the game to make people mad, and people would be like, "Xbox Go Home!" And their Xboxes would try to go home. And
oh no, this was actually a TV advert.
Oh, it's a TV advertisement.
Yeah, it's a TV advertisement where he would end the advert going, "Xbox off."
Oh.
I saw that. I remember that, and people were talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as soon as that happened, people's Xboxes were turning off.
Mm-hmm. I've had times where we were getting ready to record the podcast, and Ben and Gary were trying to play with my Xbox, and they'd just start yelling Xbox commands through the microphone. And my Xbox would respond to some of them. That said, the whole thing with the button, I think, would nullify the point of some of the Xbox. Like, for example, turning on your Xbox with your voice and turning on your whole setup with your voice. If you have to press a button first, well, you might as well just not use the voice thing at all, because you have to press a button anyway.
Yeah, or at least until they can figure out a way to sharpen it a little, because I couldn't stand that.
Or they could just have both features like most programs do, and have it so you can either press the button or normally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have it so that when you turn it on, it just picks up anything. But when it's on, you can either have it with the button or pick up anything.
So give people the option.
Yeah.
Yeah. let's talk a little further on. I'm just going to pull some stuff out of here now. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 is coming spring 2016. I don't know if there was anything specific for Xbox in that. Dark Souls 3, my only note for Dark Souls 3 was, what the hell is it?
Yeah, same here.
Gigantic will be free to play. The beta for that will be August 2015. I did not take any notes, so I guess I was not impressed. There were some indies mentioned. I noted that Ark looked really nice. They mentioned that over 1,000 developers are currently in ID at Xbox, Xbox's indie developer program. Tacoma will come first to Xbox and PC. And then we have Cuphead,
Yes.
which is a really interesting thing to me because it goes the way of the 1930s cartoon. And I think that's something I absolutely adore about this game. And I heard you say yes, Crystal. I'm assuming you feel the same.
I have been waiting for Cuphead since last year.
Really?
And yeah, and I'm upset it's not out yet. Last year, obviously, they showed a little bit less of Cuphead. They talked a little bit about it last year. And sign me up. The whole aesthetic of it, the whole just, they really nailed it. They nailed the look. It looks like you're playing an old cartoon. I love it. I really want to play it just for the sheer ridiculousness of it.
Me too. I'm excited. Now, Cuphead is not a new game. This is just the first time it's coming to Xbox. Have you thought of giving it a try on a PC?
I would totally give it a try on a PC. I absolutely would. I am kind of sad that I won't have an Xbox One to be able to play. That's one of the few titles I'll be sad that I won't be able to play. But Cuphead, I would give anything to play that game and review it. It looks like it's going to be hilarious and lots of fun.
I think it is. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. What do you, have you seen any other games that are in, perhaps not cartoon style, but in some kind of unique style?
Specifically this year, or
just in general? There was one that I reviewed when I worked for PlayStation Universe. Crap, I can't remember what it's called, but I freaking hated the game. It was a terrible game. It was like, the whole thing was, it was like drawn by a child. You had this little robot called QT3, and, it was the whole world, the background, the characters, everything looked like it was drawn by a kid. And I thought that was kind of cool. It was just a terrible game.
Limbo.
Limbo's a great one.
And I was surprised that I didn't see any information about the spiritual successor to Limbo. I can never remember the name of it, but that studio, I think it's Playdead Studios, I want to call it, they were working on another game like Limbo, and they talked about it last year, and then they didn't talk about it at all this year. I assume, did it come out and I don't realize it, or what?
It was called Doki Doki Universe.
Doki Doki Universe?
Yes, that was a terrible game.
Ah, that sounds like some kind of girly dating game.
I thought it was a pretty good game.
I thought it was a dreadful game.
But then I like that pigeon dating simulator as well. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I didn't think that the story or anything was bad. It was just kind of buggy. There were places where it just went nowhere and it got boring, or it got frustrating because something that was supposed to work didn't. The concept was good. It just wasn't well done. So, at least that was my opinion. But we're getting
by the way, when you talk about weird artsy games, there was one that I did like this year called Rabbled.
Rabbled.
Unraveled or Rabbled?
Oh, Unraveled.
Oh, I saw that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the look of that.
E3 Bingo, on the E3 Bingo thing, one of the things I remember Queen mentioning was there's a car on the stage.
Yeah, I saw that this afternoon.
And, well, Forza Motorsport 6 came out, and, I mean, you'd think that the only car you can possibly play in the game is a Ford GT. I mean, they lowered a damn Ford GT from the ceiling and put it on the stage. They got Henry Ford III out there. I mean, Ford GT, Ford GT, Ford GT. Everything about the Ford GT. Forza Motorsport 6 comes out September 2015. There are more cars in it than the Ford GT. I think their contract just prevents them from mentioning any of them.
They're just multiple Ford GTs, 700 different versions of it.
It's different colors. You can play a blue Ford GT or you can play a red Ford GT, and the red Ford GT is
silver,
slightly more powerful.
A bluey reddy Ford GT, a purpley, silvery, a metallic purple, or a pink, a silver, a gold.
Oh my!
One with window tints, one without window tints, one with half window tints.
Oh no! Oh my goodness! A Ford G.
Big rims, small rims.
I think the point of this whole thing is that Forza Motorsport 6 will have a Ford GT in it. At least one. At least one.
I just want people to sell this, right? Gran Turismo has been around since the PS1 launched.
Absolutely.
That was 1996, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And what are we on now? Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah.
We're now on Forza 6.
Yeah, and Xbox hasn't been out nearly as long as the... I mean, we've had a lot of Forzas, and not only have we had Forzas, we've had Forza Horizon.
Yeah, we had 2 Forza Horizon, haven't we?
This is 2. 2 is out right now. We're on 2.
Yeah, so that's 8 Forza games in the time GT has got to... Well, technically then we got... Do we count Prologue then?
Oh, God. So many Forza games.
So by the time we get Forza 7, we'll get GT 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't totally impressed by the graphics in Forza Motorsport 6 because I think the graphics in Drive Club have spoiled me. I mean, a lot of people say good things about Drive Club, a lot of people say bad things about Drive Club. But Drive Club is an intensely beautiful game. It looks really realistic, the cars do. There are some things graphically that could use a little tweaking. I think sometimes the cars look like they're floating, which shouldn't happen. But I think the graphics on Drive Club have ruined the graphics on other racing games for me.
But does Drive Club have a 4GT?
I don't think it does.
I'm not gonna lie, I zoned right out when the car came through the roof and when Pele came out.
Oh my god, Pele was the greatest thing in the conferences ever.
You were like, oh, I'm done.
I just kind of leaned back on the couch and started staring at the ceiling.
I didn't know who he was, so I was like, oh my god, why is he on stage? Yeah. And then he started talking about football. And then the people at the Skype call were like, oh my god, you don't know who Pele is? I'm like, no idea.
I still have no idea who he is.
And then they wanted to slap me.
I mean, I knew who he was. I was just like, guys, can we talk about games again? No? Okay, I'll wait till you finish.
Oh man.
I think everyone thought that. I thought he was going to bring out a bag of Werther's originals and start giving it to his... Back in my day, football was like this. It was totally different to the old sport right now. You know?
Back in my day, football was called rugby.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised. And anyone wasn't just confused that he wasn't talking soccer. It was in America.
Oh, right, soccer. American, yes. We're weird. We are weird. We are weird people.
Yeah. But yeah, we call it football because it is a ball you kick with your feet.
Yeah, and by comparison, American football, you very rarely touch the ball.
It's not even
a
ball. It's an egg.
This is an egg.
As I like to call it, hand egg.
Hand egg. We need a new name for football. It would never take, but I think it would be funny just to come up with one.
Oh, hand egg goes because it is an egg you throw.
Exactly.
I'm down.
Hand egg. Yeah. Xbox also announced the Xbox Elite Controller coming out in fall this year. I am excited for the Elite Controller. I am. The thing's going to cost $150. I'm going to get one. And here's why. Quite frankly, I think the DualShock 4 from the PlayStation 4 is a stronger controller. It has kind of a wider stance to it. Your hands are not as close together, and it's still extremely comfortable. The Xbox One controller, it's kind of pointed. If you look at the Xbox One controller, it has the kind of parallelogram shape, the trapezoid shape, I should say. So it's wider on the bottom and narrower on the top, and so it forces your hands together at the top if you hold it kind of close. I think there are things that it could do to tweak the comfort of it. But if you look at how customizable this thing is, you can remap your controls however you want to. You have different profiles you can switch between with the Switch. Everything is magnetic. Not everything, like the buttons aren't, but for example, the analog sticks are magnetic. Even the D-pad is magnetic. You can pull the D-pad and the analog sticks off and replace them with different ones for precision, for comfort. And the reviews that I'm seeing say that you'd expect being magnetic that they would feel really loose, but they actually feel really solid, really sturdy. This thing looks, there are paddles on the, I don't even know what I'm going to do with the freaking paddles on the back of this thing. But it looks like a fantastic controller. I actually, on our Twitter, I said something to the effect of, oh, you know, this is an awesome controller. And Xbox actually responded to us. And they're like, we're glad you like it. You know, are you going to get one? I'm like, yeah, I probably will. They're like, thanks for the love. Let us know when. Nah, nah, nah. Social media people over at Xbox there.
Oh my God.
Doing their job. But the Xbox Elite controller is a fantastic looking piece of hardware. And I am eager to get my hands on it. But how about you guys?
The Xbox 360 controller is one of my all-time favorite controllers of all time, space, and history. Believe it or not. I love it so much. It's another one of those things that I am going to miss going on to PlayStation 4. There's something about the way it sits in my hands, and I've always loved it. And I remember telling you before, I love the triggers. Yes. The trigger placement, the way it's shaped. It feels natural. And I always thought, because the joysticks are a little askew, I don't know how to say it, how one is further up on the left-hand side than it is on the right-hand side. I always thought, man, I'm never, ever gonna get used to that. And now it's just intuitive.
Well, it's interesting because I think for the Watch Dogs launch, I went to GameStop. And there was one guy there who was like, yeah, I'm getting it for Xbox. And he was like the only guy there getting it for Xbox, and everyone was for PS4. And we were all like, oh my goodness. And, he had actually never held a DualShock 4 controller before. And so there was one sitting there, and we put it in his hand, and he seemed impressed at first. He was like, oh, okay. And then he pushed the thumbsticks together, and he was displeased because his thumbs touched when he did that. And I mean, he was like, oh, you know, can't use it. You know, that you knock your thumbs together when you move the analog sticks. And I'm like, dude, look at how you're holding the thing. Like, you know, the first knuckle where your thumb bends, if you hold your thumb up like you're giving a thumbs up and then bend your thumb, the first area where your thumb bends, that is what was on the analog stick. Not his thumb, like, not the tip of his thumb like you would on the DualShock controller. It's like he's using his entire finger to move this controller, and it's just a different controller. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it if that's how he feels comfortable doing it, but I mean, it's a different controller. And if you just have to find your sweet spot and find your way to use it. And I think, you know, the DualShock 3 was not a terrific controller at all. It was not. But the DualShock 4 really is. I think you're going to enjoy it.
I hope so, because and I'm such an a-hole in the beginning too, because when I first saw that controller, I was like, oh, this sucks, it's never gonna work, I'm gonna hate it. And then like a couple months later, I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever touched.
Yeah.
So
have you tried the Xbox One controller?
The Xbox One, yes, I have. I've held an Xbox One controller, and I still, to this day, I like it. I still love the controllers for Xbox.
Do you prefer the One or the 360 controller?
360 still.
360 still?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I still prefer the 360. I don't know why. It's probably just a comfort zone at this rate. And again, that may change in the coming months. I may change my mind.
Wait until you feel
I can't really use the 360 controller. It's too big.
It's too big? You haven't seen my hands.
When I use my controllers, like on the DualShock 4, my thumb, I have to stretch out to reach the analog stick.
Okay.
I have small fingers. I have small hands.
Fallout 4 was mentioned, coming out November 10, 2015, but Bethesda also mentioned it. There was a little Xbox only thingy there. The Fallout 3 will be included with Fallout 4 if you buy it for Xbox. Other big news, PC mods will be transferable to Xbox One. So any mods from the PC, you can play them on your Xbox One. That's a first. Usually PC mods stay with PC. and consoles don't get mods.
Ooh,
So I think that's definite incentive to consider buying this game for Xbox One if you have one.
PS4 version does support mods though.
Oh, it does support mods.
yeah.
Okay.
It does support mods. It just doesn't support PC mods.
Interesting.
It'll have its own modding system on the PS4.
Very interesting. EA Access, someone from EA Access came out to promote their Play First, Play More, Play for Less thingy. This past week they added Titanfall to the lineup. In the future, they say they'll include Dragon Age Inquisition, which made me wonder, wasn't Dragon Age Inquisition already there? Because
only the free trial.
Only the free trial, okay. The EA Access Vault was free for E3 week if you have Xbox Live Gold. The Division. I don't remember when exactly... Did we get a research date for The Division? I didn't write it down.
All I know is that they talked about it last year.
2016, I think.
Oh, so spring next year. Okay.
Yeah.
There'll be an Xbox One exclusive beta. I keep hearing around the internet that there's been a visual downgrade, which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Ubisoft has done that before.
Massive visual downgrade.
Yeah, Ubisoft has definitely done that before. They did it with Watch Dogs. And so now my question is, do you think that The Division might go the way of Watch Dogs?
You know, I wasn't on board with The Division before because last year there was so much emphasis on playing, like one of your friends could play on a tablet while you and your friends played on the game itself, and it was just kind of all over the place on top of showing just really long, kind of monotonous battle scenes.
Yeah.
So I'm still not sold on The Division, and if they're downgrading their graphics by now and I'm not sold, then I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what you got going for yourselves at this point, because I haven't really seen too much.
If anyone at all from Ubisoft can hear me, or might hear me, listen to me right now. People don't freaking like visual downgrades. You did it before with Watch Dogs, and people were upset. And the reception for Watch Dogs, you may have made a lot of money because there was a lot of excitement for that game. Oh my goodness.
Sorry about that.
You may have made a lot of money for that game, but the reception for that game was not good. And is not good. So, I mean, if you're up to your old tricks again, I mean, fair warning. That's all I have to say. Ubisoft has been making interesting decisions since before Watch Dogs. We've all been scratching our heads like, what are you doing, Ubisoft? And it seems like they are not ready to quit that yet. And so I am worried for The Division.
Yeah, me too. It's not looking good. It wasn't looking good last year already, and now I'm just like, all right, guys. I don't know what you're doing. They're gonna run Assassin's Creed into the ground, I guess.
All right.
While we're talking about that, though, I didn't like the whole bit you can be a dick to other players as well. Did you watch the whole thing?
Yes.
Where they're like, oh, you helped us get that kill and got us some loot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kill you and steal your loot as a thank you.
Yeah, come on, guys.
I think
that should not be.
I think that, you know, people don't need help being dicks to people. I think they are very good at that on their own.
I'm sorry, but you should be rewarded for killing other people that just helped you. You should be punished.
Precisely.
I'm sorry, but if you did that in the game, you should just lose all your loot, and then the person you killed gets your loot.
It's counterproductive because, I mean, now people aren't going to want to help people.
Why should I help this person? He's just going to kill me.
Exactly.
Steal my loot.
So that's kind of why put that feature in at all, if you're going to do something to make people not want to use it.
It's gonna happen. No matter what. It's gonna happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, another questionable decision by Ubisoft is all I have to say. I don't get what they're thinking about. But let's move forward, guys. We've been on Microsoft for a while.
Yeah.
Rise of the Tomb Raider is coming out November 10, 2015. So is the Rare... We've heard a lot about Rise of the Tomb Raider. It looks really good. Impressive character models. I loved how the characters looked. Rare Replay coming out August 4, 2015. That's a big one. because Rare has been doing squat for a long time, which is why I chuckled when Craig Duncan said that Rare has evolved as a studio over the past 3 decades. No, you haven't. You got bought by Microsoft and then you vanished. But if you call that evolution, there you go. 30 games, 30 Rare games, 30 classic Rare games for $30.
They evolved into a sloth.
For $30 to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Rare. Also, a new Rare game, Sea of Thieves, for... I was wondering, Xbox and Windows 10 exclusive, they said. Xbox exclusive? Fine. Windows 10 exclusive? What?
There was a lot of that.
What? Like, Windows is competing with Mac. And Apple has already made it really clear that they don't give a damn about games for Mac. They care about games for iPhone and iPad. So, I mean, to say that they're even competing is something that I say with reservations. Windows 10 exclusive? So, in other words, everyone with a computer, because my Mac can natively run Windows 10. So everyone with a computer can play this game, and it's an exclusive. Okay.
Not if you're on Windows 8.
I guess.
They've done it before, though. Don't you remember Halo? Halo on the Windows Vista was Windows Vista exclusive.
Windows Vista exclusive.
You couldn't use it on Windows 98 or Windows XP.
I mean, really, how much encouragement do you need to upgrade to Windows 10? I'm pretty sure it's free.
Yeah, it's free. So
it's not like they're gaining sales from this, from getting people to get Windows 10. It's free. So Windows 10 exclusive, I don't understand that. There are Sony games that are coming to Windows 10, so that's...
It's Microsoft. They just want to make sure they push their newest software as much as possible.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Repetition.
Fable Legends is coming holiday 2015. It's been doing betas. Kuro Tsunado came out, and he said that there will be a new relationship with Valve VR, and then he paused, and there was silence. And then the audience kind of realized, oh, we're supposed to clap now.
Yeah.
So cross that off your E3 bingo. Oculus...
Secretly, you don't know this, Glenn, but I know something that was what happened there, and I know why.
Oh, really?
Basically, what happened was they were going to announce Halo Half-Life 3 on Xbox One, but then they realised that would be the Four Horsemen. I mean, we've got Shenmue 3, Last Guardian, and Final Fantasy VII Remake. If they announced Half-Life 3, it would obviously be the Four Horsemen, and the world would end. So they told Game not to come up on stage, and that's why he paused. Obviously, that is what happened.
So he was just trying to save the world, people.
That's he just didn't want the world to explode from all the hype. He was like, if we do this, the world will explode. Better not do it.
Oculus is entering a partnership with Xbox. Which is interesting because Xbox is also doing this HoloLens thing. So Microsoft is going to have 2 VR headsets of some kind. If you have one VR headset, surprise, we have 2. And, I mean, Project Morpheus...
Well, HoloLens isn't VR, is it?
It's augmented reality.
Yeah.
It's augmented reality. But, it's still the same kind of, put on a headset so you can see things that aren't really there kind of thing.
Well, kind of. With VR, you've seen a completely different world. With AR, it's just modifying the world you're looking at and adding stuff to it.
Yes.
I still look at them and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with these? I really feel like that. No, I really do.
The form.
Yeah. No, and he's got a point, because when the what was it, the PSP? It was either PSP or PSP Vita first came out. That's all people did was put porn on it for the longest time when it first came out. I remember that. My friend,
Station Portable.
Yeah,
Yes.
Porn Station Mobile, son. Like, people are gonna find a way to put porn on it. They're gonna buy a VR headset. Boom. Next step, porn.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
the
I'm
VR
gonna do it.
The VR that's on the first is the VR that's going to win. It's like every system's done that.
I think that
It's the dawn of time.
the one most likely to get porn on it is the HoloLens, just because you don't really have to do anything special with it. It can access just normal files. So all you have to do is, put on your HoloLens and you look at your wall and you can make your whole wall into porn.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, with the VR, you can be in different scenarios.
Oh, you can be in the scenario, so you're not watching the porn. You're in the porn.
Yeah,
you're
custom porn. Done.
So you can be just a creeper watching.
No, that'd be the HoloLens, wouldn't it?
No, because the HoloLens is augmented. You're not in that world. You're just watching it.
That's what I mean. You'd be the creeper watching it, while with VR, you'd actually be in there, being the actor.
Oh, okay.
Somebody's gonna listen to this and make $1 trillion. So no, somebody's really gonna do. They already do it. They already have websites where people make custom porn already. So now all they gotta do is just find a way to integrate it into this.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
As I said, nearly every system, Betamax versus VHS, porn supported VHS, VHS1, DVD versus DVD, Blu-ray versus HD DVDs. Blu-ray supported porn, HD DVDs were against it. Blu-ray won.
Yep.
So the key to people's success is porn.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Duly noted. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna retweet that HoloLens demo so you guys can see it. Actually a cool device, but I will say that they used that special camera. They used a camera with the HoloLens thing integrated into it so you could see what the user was supposedly seeing. But
Yeah, that was cool.
I will say that for the actual HoloLens device, there has been an issue with the field of view. So what you saw in the demo is not necessarily what people are seeing there. Yeah, they're seeing the same thing, but there's a different kind of quality to it. You're not seeing that wide an image. You're just seeing kind of a little section of it in front of you. So there's a field of view issue with it that did not show through with that special camera. Keep that in mind. The person who, I'm a communications person. I have a degree in mass communication, and public speech is part of that. The person who was out there with HoloLens, I did not like her because she sounded like she was reading. She had that tone of voice where it was like, you're reading a sentence. Let me find something here.
I thought she was reading it off the iPad she was holding.
Sure. And finally, here's the last update I've got for you on April 22nd. We get to enjoy another classic Dread Fox rant. She had that kind of reading tone instead of... And finally, here's the last update I've got for you, April 22nd. We get to enjoy another classic Dread Fox rant. She sounded like she was just, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to read here and totally sound like I'm reading the whole time. So, watch your presenters. There was another bad presenter for another conference, but we'll talk about that in a second. Gears of War Ultimate Edition, the kind of remaster, I guess, the port for Gears of War will drop August 25th, 2015. Right now, or I guess this past week, there was a 1-week public beta. And also Gears of War 4 was announced for holiday next year. I hate when people do that.
Too early.
There was, do you guys think that people just announce their games a little too early these days?
They were a little bit better about it this year. So, I honestly, legitimately noticed that there were a lot of release dates that were either late this year or early next year. But then you had some that were peppered in, like this one where it was like holiday next year sometime, whatever.
And it'll probably get delayed.
And then you immediately, in your mind, you're like, well, no point in me getting excited about it. Psh, throw it in the bin. Wait till something else comes up.
I think I understand from a business standpoint the need to do that at the very beginning of the generation. Because it's like, people are looking for reasons to buy these consoles, and you're looking for reasons to give people to buy these consoles. So yeah, that's when you want to say, hey, down the road, we're going to have the stronger game lineup. We're going to have this game, we're going to have that game. They're not out now, they're going to be out in a couple of years, but you're going to want to stick around because they're coming. Now we're a few years in. We don't want to hear, here's this awesome game. It's coming out in 2018. I mean,
yeah.
That just takes the wind out of your sails, doesn't it?
Well, you immediately don't care.
No. No, I don't. We didn't even get a release date for the Final Fantasy VII remake. It was just kind of announced. It could come anytime between now and 2020, for all I know.
I expect 2017.
2017? I think
because it'll be the 20th anniversary.
I think that's reasonable. I think that's when ittle come out. And it
Because
just
Final Fantasy 7 came out 1997, so
it just makes it feel so it makes it feel like, oh, it's something in the future, but it's something unattainable. It's something that I can't have, that I'm not going to get anytime soon. It's going to be years from now. And that just takes the excitement right out of it. And then between now and then, you have anything can change. As with the Ubisoft games, it can get worse. You know, it could get better, but as with Ubisoft games lately, it could get worse. So, I mean...
And then by the time it comes out, you feel like Robin Williams in Jumanji. You're just like, what year is it? Like, just lost. Like,
God.
Is it already time?
So Gears 4 holiday next year. So put that on your next Christmas list if you care to. And finally, we know that Windows 10 is going to release July 29, 2015. Gamers, you're definitely going to get this one. This is, especially if you have an Xbox One, this is going to be the first time that you can take your Xbox One game and stream it to your PC. That is a big deal. So Windows 10 is going to do a lot of good stuff for gaming. And that comes out July 29, 2015. In my opinion, a great effort by Microsoft. I will agree, best games lineup it's had so far, but also the first one with a lot of exclusives and with a lot of interesting things. For me, the backward compatibility thing was fantastic, but not the showstopper everyone's saying it is. I thought Sony had a stronger conference. I did.
Oh yeah, Sony and Bethesda.
Let's move to Sony now. We were in the theater watching this, so I did not take the kind of notes I did for Microsoft or Nintendo. I just kind of jotted down what titles were coming out as they came out, so I'll need your help for this. Okay. First off, let me just say that my prediction last week was that we would not get The Last Guardian, just because there was no reason for us to think that we would. They said that the project was alive. They didn't say what state it was in. They just said, oh no, this still exists. And so I thought, we're probably not going to get this. I was wrong. They began everything with The Last Guardian. And we in the theaters saw, like, the first part of it. We saw them start to announce, oh, A Tale of Friendship and all of that stuff. And then our feed died.
Yeah,
and
instantly.
we saw the Windows Active Desktop thing in the theaters, which we thought was hilarious. And we didn't get our feedback until halfway through Horizon Zero Dawn. So the trailer that we've all been waiting for years and years, since 2009, The Last Guardian, is it going to come out? They start with it, and we don't even get to see it in the theater. So that was kind of a disappointment. But that said, The Last Guardian, here it is, finally, and I believe it's coming out in 2016, is that right?
I didn't even catch the dang release date because it was so scratchy.
Last year we had problems too, problems with the feed glitching out, and it had nothing to do with the theater. It was Sony's feed. Sony's feed was having problems. And this year, same thing. The good news is that once it was fixed, and it was good for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
It's just that beginning part didn't work out, and so that was a shame.
No, I think it was spring, by the way.
Spring 2016, even better. I just remember seeing 2016. So.
I can't remember that.
The Last Guardian, it looked great. I was happy to see it alive. It looked even better than before. That said, here is what I believe is going to happen to this game. People are going to freak out about this game until it launches. Everyone is going to buy it, and then everyone's going to immediately say, oh, this game sucks, and put it down. The reason being, there's this little thing in the video game world called, or in a lot of industries actually, that everyone likes to call hype. And basically what hype is it's just excitement for the game. And a lot of people say, oh, this company's generating hype. Don't believe the hype. It's just the media trying to create hype. Well, the media might create a little hype, but honestly, the developer doesn't. It's like when you see a show that just hits it big and everyone loves this show, and they interview the actors and they're like, oh my goodness, we had no idea that people were going to love this much. You develop a game and you put it out there and it goes. And the hype comes from the fans. Watch Dogs, I mean, Ubisoft didn't generate the hype for that game. The fans did. They played this trailer at E3 2012, I think it was, and people were like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And they shared it with their friends, they talked about it, it became a conversation piece, everyone was excited for this game, and Ubisoft had relatively little to do with that. The fans created that excitement for the game, and the excitement spiraled and spiraled and spiraled while Ubisoft made the game worse. And so when Watch Dogs came out, it disappointed. Eventually, when there's a lot of hype, the game reaches a point where it can't possibly keep up with it. And watching the Last Guardian trailer, I thought, you know, this is okay. I didn't see anything special about it. There was nothing about it that was like, oh my goodness, I have to play this game. I was happy to see it was there. I was happy to see that finally we were receiving news for it. Finally, we were getting a release window for it. I didn't see anything spectacular about this game. And so, I think that when it comes out, it's just going to die a death because everyone's going to think it sucks. Not because it actually is a bad game, but because our expectations are so high right now for it, because we haven't heard about it for so long. And finally, after 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, after 6 years since its initial announcement, we're finally hearing something about it, and we're all expecting so much from this game. When it comes out, I don't think it's going to live up to that expectation.
I'm scared. It looks a lot like, remember the game that came out for PlayStation 2, was it ICO? ICO?
It's the same company.
Yeah. And you know what? I had no idea until you told me. And it looks just like that game.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what it made me think of.
So what, is there any significance to bringing up that game? Was Eco good?
Eco wasn't very memorable for me. It was memorable in a sense that I got frustrated with it all the time.
That's not good?
No.
And then there was Shadow of the Colossus, which was the same team as well.
Yeah.
That's why they're called Team Trico.
Team Trico. Well, there's hope for The Last Guardian. I'm hoping for The Last Guardian. I'm hoping for it to own this, and I'm hoping for it to do really well, and I'm hoping that it is a fantastic game.
It's also not the first time one of their games skipped a generation.
Oh,
Ico
really?
started off as a PS1 game.
Oh, okay.
But by the time they got it running, the PS2 was out, so they moved over to the PS2, which
Right.
got delayed because the PS2 hardware was hard to program for.
The PS2 was hard to program for.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad they skipped the PS3 then. So
Well, no, the PS2 was quite hard at its time. It wasn't easy.
yeah, for its time, but I mean, the PS3 was definitely,
Oh yeah, it
with
was.
the cell processor, definitely
Yeah.
made things difficult for developers.
But the PS2 is kind of the same as in kind of a way, it was like a baby version of the cell, really, when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
The CPU was, the CPU was a lot better than the GPU, so they had to use a lot more functions that would normally have to use the GPU, they had to use the CPU instead, which confused a lot of developers.
I think this generation is the first time the manufacturers have really gotten the right balance for developers. This is a good generation for gaming, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I agree.
Except for the PS1, that was easy.
Then we got Horizon Zero Dawn from Guerrilla. And let me first say that this game has been, speaking of hype, this game has so much hype behind it right now. People loved this game. It's been getting E3 awards. It's been getting a lot of buzz on the internet. Guerrilla's feed has been lighting up. And when I say that, I also have contributed, I should say, to that buzz on the internet. It looks absolutely fantastic. Just one of the reasons it looks fantastic is the lead character. And, Crystal, I think in the theater you were saying this is definitely the year for the female gamer, isn't it?
Yeah, dude. Okay, so like, you know, you guys have heard me say it before. Yes, I would like to see more female leads in gaming. However, I wasn't going to push it. I'm not going to be one of those girls who's like, let's just push, because I felt like it didn't need a push. I felt like it was just going to happen on its own eventually. And it did. I was right. This year, I have seen more female leads in games. And this includes games where you can choose to be a female. Fallout 4, prime example. You can choose to be a female for the first time ever in Fallout. This is incredible. This is really cool. And not only that, specifically with Horizons, this female character was so strong. It looked like the odds were against her throughout the entire showing of the game.
The odds were against her. She was fighting a gigantic robot dinosaur. The odds do not get any more against you.
Yeah, and all she had was what seemed bows and arrows. And then she's firing them off at this giant robot dinosaur, and then at one point rips one of its limbs off and proceeds to shoot it with its own arm gun. And I stopped and I thought about it and I was like, so there's this, there's the one with the girl and the robot dog, there's the new Tomb Raider coming out, there's Dishonored 2, where you female lead there too. Like, it just goes on and on and on.
You got Assassin's Creed?
Yeah.
With Emily.
That just looked... Was that the one with the girl who was, like... She just looked vicious.
Yeah, it was like, don't... what was her name? Ellie? Emmy?
Emily.
Emily?
Yeah.
Emily, I think.
Don't
Emily
mess...
Anya.
Don't mess with... The thing was like, you know... There was a guy narrating, and he's like, don't mess with Emmy. If that's
Yeah,
her name.
it's her brother.
Yeah.
You can play as brother or sister.
But for Horizon Zero Dawn, beyond just the fact that there's a female lead, it looks like a fantastic game. It really does. I felt different, I felt parts of different good old RPGs in it, like Skyrim. You know, when you play Skyrim, you have those dragons that kind of descend, and it's you against this giant dragon, and you have to figure out how to beat it using your abilities. That's what this kind of felt like. There was this big feeling of, just here's little me and this gigantic, powerful beast, and I have to figure out a way to take it down. And I really enjoyed seeing the different ways you can do that, because you have all these tools, but there is not one right way to do it. You can do it any way you want to. You know, you can take your bow and you can, you know, attach a rope to it and fire the rope and tie the dinosaur to the ground, and you can do anything. You just have to find a way to beat it. And I thought that was really, really cool. Beyond just the fact that there's a female lead, and definitely I think it's a novelty situation right now, because we don't get a lot of female leads in gaming.
Right.
We really don't. And I'm glad to see it. I think the term strong female has become kind of a cliche. But it's nice to actually see a strong female in action. It's nice to have, you know, a face to it. It's nice to see what you mean when people say a strong female lead. It's nice to see that in action. And it's nice because it just feels different, you know? You're so used to seeing, you know, the guy in, you know, a trench coat or tribal wear or whatever firing a bow and arrow. You don't see this very often. So there's also a sense of novelty to it as well. And I think that helps.
Another thing people commented on was just the fact that you could hear little audio clips of her voice throughout the trailer. It gave people a sense of bonding with the character. There was something about her voice and something about what she was saying during that trailer that made people feel close to that character already. And that was an interesting observation somebody had made on like Reddit. I read it somewhere on there. And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, the fact that she was so vocal made her a person, made that character come to life more so than most characters that I do see in video games. Yeah.
We also saw a new Hitman game come out. And I remember sitting in the theater thinking that looked pretty boss.
Yeah. I hope that's not one that's just suffering from like hype train. Like
Hype train.
Yeah, hype train is what they call it. But that looks smooth.
It looks pretty smooth. It looked a lot of fun. I didn't really get immediately that it was a Hitman game, and I think that's something I loved about it. It's like you go through it and you get more and more excited, and then you finally see the title card and you're like, oh, this is Hitman. So that's coming. Did you happen to catch a release date?
For Hitman?
Yeah.
December.
Awesome.
Digital early.
This year. See, attainable release dates. It's
Yes,
not
this is
4
good.
years from now.
Only for digital, though.
Oh, so they're not selling physical discs.
There'll be a physical copy, but it's sold later.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I'll take whatever I can get.
I'll take it. You know?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Street Fighter V was another one.
Ah.
Which is exclusive to PlayStation.
Exactly. Is that a note of frustration there, Queen?
If you're listening, I'm sorry, but I used to date this guy who played Street Fighter 4 like for hours on end, and he made me drive him to like tournaments and stuff. So like I am tapped out on Street Fighter. However, I will say this: 5 is taking an artistic cue from 4 in a sense that it still looks beautiful. It still looks like a moving painting, which was one of the biggest draws to 4. So I'm glad that it still looks gorgeous and it still looks like it's going to play smooth. However, did I hear that it's not coming out for Xbox?
Yeah,
no, Street Fighter is exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah. Wow.
It's PlayStation.
It's because PlayStation is funding the game and they're developing it.
Right.
Wow, they must want a piece of the tournament action.
Well, they funded the tournament this year as well.
Damn. See, I've been out of that loop for so long, and so when
I don't know
see
if
it,
I'm supposed to talk about this part, but I know I'm in part of the testing group for number 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Just say no more.
Yeah. No, we won't ask.
Getting in trouble.
But if you want to be in it yourself as well, you can. If you pre-order it in North America, you will get into it.
Okay. So that's easy.
But Europe is different.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's July, the beta as well, the testing.
Beta's in July. No Man's Sky was next. And, yeah.
Okay.
It was next.
I was excited for it last year, and then I wasn't excited for it this year.
That's because this year's presenter was high or something. I mean, he didn't go up there and seem to know what he was doing. I think they probably told him just go up there and tour around, do something live, and leave the stage, probably.
Yeah.
If you missed E3 last year and then you probably didn't know anything about No Man's Sky. Going into E3 this year, you didn't learn much about No Man's Sky. He just kind of derped around, he did a little star shooting thing, then he, probably the most notable thing about his presentation was he zoomed out. He was like, okay, this little ball of light represents like a whole solar system. And then he went out and there were like billions of balls of light, billions of solar systems, billions of places you could go in this game. And, just the scope of this game is absolutely incredible. And I think he just dropped the ball as far as really illustrating, the place that he went to. I think he just picked a place because the game, to my understanding, randomizes things. It creates things as you go. Mm-hmm. So he just went somewhere and it just wasn't all that interesting. I think that he probably would have benefited from planning a little more, from going somewhere established, for setting something up. It was great to show, hey, this is what it will probably be like for you. But it would have made more sense to show this is what you can find. Give us a reason to buy the game, and don't just go in there and say, hey, you might find absolutely nothing. Just like this.
But remember, if you do something bad, the space police will come after you.
Really?
Yeah, the space police.
The space police.
That's right. I do remember him talking about that.
We don't need the space police on us. Nope.
No. And
I'm sorry, it just reminded me of South Park by that episode of the fake police that come to Earth to try, if you find this criminal, we'll reward you with this, blah, blah, blah. The criminal comes down and says, I have this amount of money. Yeah, if you get the space police off my backs, I'll let you share it. And it all ends up as a joke and being a fake thing because the money's not real anyway. They're like, really? You believe in space bucks?
My goodness. So
space bucks are worth nothing. You built all these things with space bucks, yet they don't really exist. Yeah.
Oh,
anyway, I'll go now.
Hey, Queen, I want to ask you about this one specifically because I kind of forgot about it. I didn't really catch what you thought about it. Someone from Media Molecule came up next. And if you don't know Media Molecule, they are the studio behind Little Big Planet.
Mm-hmm.
And Media Molecule is making a new game for PS4 called Dreams. Do you remember it?
Yes. How could you not remember that game? It was the game about, well, I don't want to say nothing, but...
Well, it kind of is and it kind of isn't it? Because you create a dream. Media Molecule is all about, user creation. And so you have all these tools where you can create whatever world you want and just share it with people. It feels like it could be an iPhone app, to be honest.
Yes. And I'm not a big fan when people say, oh, there's no way to describe it. I'm not a big fan when I say it either, because I firmly believe that everything can be described. So when they come out and they do that whole spiel, like, here's something totally innovative that we can't really explain, so we'll just show it to you. You should have just said that you can take shapes and mold them and color them and animate them to be whatever you want. That's what you should have said.
Or he could have just said nothing and played the video.
Yes. Or that. You could have just been like, I'd like for everybody to see this, and then just fade away into the dark and let the video do the talking. However, I honestly don't know what to make of it. It isn't necessarily a game. There's no point or plot to it except what you make out of it. And in that aspect, believe it or not, I'm curious to just see what people make with it. That's one of those things that you're going to want to check YouTube after like 6 months. You want to get on YouTube and see what people have uploaded and see what people have made out of it.
But then again, you also have kind of a segmented audience there, because not everyone is super creative, or feels super creative, I should say. Not everyone finds their strengths in, you know, drawing or designing things or visual things like this, you know. I feel like I'm a creative person, but I'm a writer. I'm not really a visual artist. I'm a writer. I write stories, I can write scripts, I can write articles, I can write poems, I write poems, you know. I'm a writer. I'm not necessarily a visual creator, so I feel like a game like this is wasted on me. You know what I mean? And so, for this, I feel like, yeah, I might go to YouTube and see what people did, but I probably will not buy this game, because I just don't feel like it speaks to my strengths, and I don't feel like it speaks to my personal interests.
Yeah, as much as I would love to buy it and sit down until you have the patience to create something, honestly, I live with several other artists, and I applaud them for their patience. Every time they make something, it could take them weeks or months before they finally hammer it out, and I get frustrated after like 5 hours. I'm like, okay, I'm over it. I just want to do something else.
Apologies for the background noise. There is a lone piece of foil on my bed, and my cats have discovered it.
It's okay.
So that's what's going on with that. I don't even know where this piece of foil came from. Maybe they brought it in here at some, I don't know. But there it is. So Dreams is coming out, and the trailer was kind of, they created like a thing with a guy playing a piano. I think he was playing Row, Row, Row Your Boat. And then it melted into a bunch of other really cool things. I mean, I liked it. I did like it. And then, you know, the last one, the same guy playing Row, Row, Row Your Boat, except he was some kind of caricature of all the different parts of the trailer we've seen. It was cool.
All I'm going to add is penises everywhere.
Yes, it's going to turn into dicks.
Absolutely. 100%. Because we are dealing with humans, and that's what humans like.
I mean, remember when DS came out and they were like, oh, PictoChat, and instantly at the next convention I was at, it turned into DictoChat.
What does this...
I'm sorry, but even when he was sculpting stuff, I thought, oh my god, that's a penis.
What does that say about our maturity level? Really?
I mean,
what does
To be
that say?
fair, at least we're mature enough to understand what they are, and, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're not just joking, oh, it's a penis.
Actually, I think most of the time we are.
I'm trying to make us look good.
I don't think that's possible.
No, gamers, we get a bad rap, you know. Most people think we live in our mom's basement and have never been exposed to the world before, and yeah, we probably laugh at dick jokes, but who the hell doesn't? Who the hell doesn't? If you put that game in anybody's hand, somebody's drawing a dick eventually.
It's true.
Even the word is funny.
Yeah.
Penis. Slippery.
What?
Penis.
You said slippery.
Yeah, the word is like slippery, you know.
Oh, the word is you used two words in the same sentence that are making us a podcast that we don't aim to be. What am I going to call this episode? I'll have to come up with some weird name for it. Destiny. That game has taken praise, it has taken flack, and it is back with its first purchasable expansion called The Taken King. And, I mean, it looked good. To me, it looked like Destiny. It looked good. It was something new, but it just looked like Destiny.
Yeah, when I got home, my partner, he went ahead, he downloaded it. I watched him play it a little bit, but, you know, I was sick, so I fell asleep. And, honestly, hello, if you guys just put the plot back in the game, I will play it. I shouldn't have to do a research project to find out what the game is about.
That is Activision's fault. That is definitely Activision's fault. I have every reason to believe that Bungie built this game with a whole lot of love and the best of intentions, and then Activision came and was like, you know how you can make more money? Take parts of the game out and sell them later.
And they listened!
Well, I'm not sure they had a choice. Activision's their publisher. Maybe they had it. I'm not sure how these things work. But I'll say that Activision was their publisher. I don't know what their deal was. You know, what they signed for, what was in their contract. So, I don't know what could have been. All I know is what was not the best thing for the game. The game has taken so much flack, and I don't think that needed to happen. People lost interest before they had a chance to tell the whole story as they intended. And that should never happen.
No, it
and
really
as you know, the stuff was already on the disc because I showed everyone the areas.
He did.
yeah. By the way, yes, we saw that too. There was one night my husband was playing, and he ended up in an area that got closed off like a week later.
Oh no, I literally took them to areas that were on the future DLC.
Yeah, we were talking in PSU or something, and then Ben was like, here, you know, he went somehow into a map that didn't exist.
Yep. And then if the same thing happened like you guys, they closed it off later. You couldn't access it anymore.
Oh no, I got around all that.
Ben has connections that we can only dream.
No, I just had the ability to drive through walls.
That's true.
You can still do that glitch, by the way. What you do is you face the opposite way from a wall, get your sparrow out, turn round, face the wall, boost, and you drive through it.
Wow, it's
there
that easy. Okay, then.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then all you have to do is explore around the map and find areas, you know.
After Destiny, we got Assassin's Creed 9000.
Oh, 1 second, can I add something else about Destiny?
Okay.
I want the collector's edition because it has some new cool content, like the new emotes, new weapons, all that lot. But I can't buy the collector's edition unless I buy the game and the expansions again. But I already have the game and the expansions, I just want the DLC. But you can't get the DLC unless you buy the collector's edition. So yeah.
Can you not buy the collector's edition and then sell everything else?
No, because it's digital.
Oh, it's digital.
Ah, crap.
That does.
Well, there is a physical collector's edition, but there's no announcement yet for Europe and North America when it's going to be sold. But right now, there's only digital, and yeah.
After Destiny: The Taken King, we got the Taken King. We got the billionth Assassin's Creed iteration called Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Not the first. We also had Assassin's Creed China, which is like a little mini Assassin's Creed. I guess they hoped that it would shut up the people who were begging for an Assassin's Creed game in Asia. That's just my assumption, really, because we've been saying, you know, we'd love to see Assassin's Creed in Japan, feudal Japan, or in China. And they were like, no, we want to do it in Europe. So I guess who are we to tell these people what we want? And, but they did give us China, and that had a female lead character.
And we're getting Russia as well soon.
Great, I guess.
And there's another one as well that I can't remember.
Here is Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and this one was all about the main character. Her brother is, you know, narrating for her and making her look like a total awesome, violent person. And,
I was a little scared.
She's a scary person, isn't she? She
Yeah,
just
I liked
walked
it.
around and killed people and, you know, did flips, and it was cray. That's what it was. And so, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I'm struggling to find something to say about this, because the way I feel, you could put a German Shepherd as the lead, and it would still just be the same Assassin's Creed.
Ooh.
You know,
You should listen to the other podcast that I do. We joked and said the fact that they could have a horse and they'd still have the same gameplay as every other Assassin's Creed ever made, with a horse as the main character.
See, Queen laughed when you said it. She did not laugh when I said it. But we both said the exact same thing.
It is the
No,
same
I mentioned
thing.
horses.
Yours was horses.
Yeah.
I said a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
But how
Like-
many people have German Shepherds compared to horses?
Probably more.
Aha.
That's why it's so rare, and why a horse would be more. Though we were very close, though, weren't we? Because they announced that new game where you play that new DLC for Trials Fusion, where you play a unicorn
Oh, well, there you go.
with a cat riding on it.
Make no mistake, guys. Assassin's Creed Syndicate, yes, it has a female lead. Yes, she looks super awesome.
Kind of.
It's gonna be Assassin's Creed. I have no reason to think that this will be any different from any of the million Assassin's Creeds that have already come out.
Dude,
Oh wait,
as long as
kind
I'm
of
not...
with the female main lead, kind of.
I mean, as long as I'm not out in the woods smelling bear piss for 3 hours. I don't know.
And I
Kinda
want to say
gave up.
kind of again with the whole female main character.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
she's a female character. That's what
Well,
I'll say.
the main character is the brother,
Okay. And so
But
she's
you
a
get-
side character.
but you can play the whole game with her anyway. So
That's weird.
yeah.
Too complex. Keep it simple, developers.
It's just like, I don't know. I don't view it any different from, like, Mass Effect. You just pick the female or the male and go at it.
Take your pick. This is where things got interesting, because someone came out and started talking about World of Final Fantasy.
Ah!
I should have mentioned the bit before that. The whole
I'm sorry?
we just should have brought. No, you should have talked about the whole thing before that though, with the whole. And we're bringing back your favorite characters.
I didn't write anything down before that, so I have no clue.
The guy came on stage and said, your favorite characters will be returning. After years of waiting, you'll finally get to see the return of blah blah.
I was about to,
the Midgard
that's
music
exactly
started
where I
playing.
was going. That's
Oh,
precisely
sorry.
where I was going with this.
Oh, sorry.
Because this guy, he comes out and he hypes this up to be, yeah, exactly what you said. Your favorite characters are returning. This is going to be something you guys have been waiting for forever. And so we're all excited and we're like, oh, what's it going to be? And we see this and we're all like, what was the reaction in the theater, Crystal?
I thought everyone was confused. We thought it was a joke, and we thought that I thought it was going to be one of those scenes where it slowly starts panning backwards, and then you'd see that it was just like one of your favorite characters watching a television screen, and it wasn't real at all.
No, it was real. It was World of Final Fantasy.
What the hell is it?
I don't know. And to tell the truth, I don't think anyone had a problem with World of Final Fantasy. I think we all had a problem with, you're getting our expectations up, saying this is going to be something you want really badly. And then it's like, well, what is this exactly?
Yeah, like your parents are like, all right, it's tasty, it's sweet. And then you're like, yeah, Mom, what is it? It's broccoli. What?
Yay!
Kids go crazy for broccoli.
Oh,
Like,
yes. Oh, man. Ben,
hell?
what did you think of World of Final Fantasy, dude? This was...
I thought, oh my god, what a troll. I even said I knew that he was going to troll because he trolled last year.
They did this a few times, didn't they? Throughout the whole
Well, it's the
conference.
same guy. He's known as the ultimate troll on NeoGAF because he did it last year as well.
No, not
He
on
did the same
NeoGAF,
thing.
the guy in the conference.
Yeah, the guy at the conference.
Oh, okay. He's called the ultimate troll on NeoGAF.
Yeah, because last year he did the same thing for Final Fantasy VII
Yeah.
with the PlayStation experience.
How does
He
he
did the-
sleep at night?
On our tears.
I don't think anyone was crying. I just think everyone was confused. No one knew what to make of it, and I still don't, frankly.
But rage tears, hype tears, confusion. It's just. Yeah. Anyway, I liked it.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was nice. It was cute.
I liked the chibi art style.
Yeah, exactly. It was nice.
Yeah.
But I still don't know what it is.
No, I still have no idea.
It reminds me of Pokemon's, from what I can tell.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Well, he caught monsters from the old Final Fantasy games, and then you could use them in battle.
Oh.
Like Pokemon's.
Of course, though, gamers, the Final Fantasy news was not over yet.
Yeah.
Because after that...
We got the announcements that the PC version of Final Fantasy VII has been delayed till winter.
Wait, what? I didn't hear that before. What, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, remember they were porting the PC version over to the PS4.
Okay.
It's been delayed till winter.
So what is it coming out for first?
Yeah, it's already on PC.
Oh, it's already out on PC. No, it's not.
But they're porting it over to PS4 as well.
The Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, the PC version.
Is out on PC now?
Yeah, it's on PC now. The original PC, it looks like the PS1 version.
Are you... I'm so confused. What?
There's the two versions coming out that, you know what, that we're not mentioning right now because we're trolls. And the PC version, which is already out on PC, that they were going to bring to PS4 in spring. That was why the guy was such a troll last year at PlayStation Experience, because he said, we're remastering your favourite game. You know, it's coming out, I've been waiting for years. It's one of the games that everyone's been asking for. We've been finally bringing it out. And then he shows, like, the original PS1 graphics from the PC version. He's like, yes, the PC version of Final Fantasy VII is coming to PS4 spring 2015. And everyone got pissed off. And this year, he's like, oh yeah, it's still coming out on PS4, but it's been delayed to winter. Please look forward to it.
I am so confused because for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, they did not announce a release date at all. For
this
anything.
is a different version.
So this is a different version than the one that was announced at E3.
No, this was announced at E3 as well.
What are you talking about? I'm so lost.
There's the PC version, which looks like, the PS1 graphics.
So this remake, they're going to make the console remake, and it's going to look like what we saw at E3.
No. There's a PC version that's already out. You get that?
Okay.
You get that? Which
Of a
looks like
remake?
the PS... Yeah, it looks like the PS1 graphics. It came out about 2 years ago on PC.
Okay.
It's the original PS1 graphics that were ported over to PC onto Steam, so PC players could play it. They announced last year that the PC version, the PS1 version, was getting ported to PS4.
Okay.
Last year. That's why it was considered such a troll, because everyone thought it was going to be the remake that everyone wanted. Well, of course, we know that's going to be, got announced this year.
Gotcha.
But they're also still re-releasing that PC version that looks like PS1 version on PS4 as well.
I was lost. I was like, Final Fantasy Remake just got announced. What do you mean it's already out?
Yeah, they've got a PC version of the original already,
So
but it's just
like a different kind of side version.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you.
But it just looks like but it was it was hated a lot on PC because the music was really bad.
Oh, that's a shame because Final Fantasy is known for having good music.
Yeah, it had MIDI files for the soundtrack.
Okay.
Dang.
Let's not mention that any further. Final Fantasy VII.
Look up Sephiroth's One Winged Angel PC original. It's just weird. It's really bad.
Final Fantasy VII's remake was finally announced after 20 years of begging. I guess there's a PC version with PS1 graphics and bad music, but the remake that we want has finally been announced after 20 years of asking. And so, goodness, the reaction in the theaters was so dramatic that there are YouTube videos. There is a 4-hour compilation of people reacting in theaters and at home on YouTube. Just people reacting. And I have never seen so many grown men and women break down into tears over a video game It is absolutely fantastic.
Dude, I had a moment.
Yes, that reaction is exactly why I think, Queen, when I first pitched the idea of going to the E3 experience to you, you were like, well, I don't want to go because people are going to be dicks. But I think something I said was, that sitting in the theater and feeling the energy of everyone around you getting excited over the same thing that you're excited about, that's worth going to. And that's exactly what this moment was, because you see this I had no idea what it was, because remember, I'm a newbie to Final Fantasy. My first one was 13, which sucked. And so now I've played 10 and I'm looking forward to 15. And so Final Fantasy 7 was new to me, but looking at it, I was pretty happy about it. I was like, oh, this looks really, really good. Everyone around me, it was like a little rumble. Queen was sitting next to me and she's like grabbing the chair and she's like, is this happening? This is happening. And I'm like, well, what the heck is this? And people, I mean, it just built. People were kind of rumbling about it. And then you see the city. What's the city called?
Midgar.
Midgar. You see Midgar and people start reacting. It's like, oh my goodness. And then you see the two characters. You see that little railgun that he's holding. You see the giant...
That's his arm.
Oh, that's his arm. Well,
yeah,
you see the giant sword on the other guy's back, and all hell breaks loose. And people are standing up, and people are screaming, and people are crying, and then the screen goes black, and you see the word remake, and it all erupts. People flipped out over this announcement.
You would have thought Jesus walked in the theater. It was.
I don't think Jesus would have got such response.
It was insane. Like, here I am, and as it's happening, as it's going, I flash back to middle school. I remember being in 7th grade, and I'm on the bus next to the first kid who got it, and we're flipping through the booklet. He brought the case to show us, and we're flipping through the booklet, and I remember thinking, oh my God, these graphics, a term that you would use millions more times for the rest of your life, but you don't realize it yet.
Yeah.
And I remember just, you're drinking in the pictures and seeing all the scenery and all the art that they put in the booklet. And then here I am watching this ridiculously high-def version. And I remember being a kid, I was like, can you remember, do you guys know what games are going to be like by the time we're like adults? Here it is. We're here. This is exactly, I think you said it best when we were leaving the theater. It looks like how we imagined it in our heads when we were kids.
Yeah. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Goodness, I don't remember saying that.
I do. When we were leaving, you're talking about, like, this is what it looks like when we were kids playing it. This is how we imagined it in our heads at night.
Yeah.
During the Skype call, all I was doing was making orgasm sounds.
Oh what is with this episode? We've talked about porn, we've talked about dicks, now we're talking about orgasm sounds.
Well, it's Final Fantasy 7. What else sounds do you make?
I'm gonna have to mark this as explicit, just so you know.
Cool.
So if you feel like cussing, cuss away. So this was huge. Do yourself a favor, go to YouTube, search for Final Fantasy 7 reactions. There are reactions of people at home, there are reactions of people in the theater, and you can hear exactly what I described. That's why I love going to E3 Experience, because a lot of it's kind of down, and you do get people who are calling out and joking and being ridiculous. But then sometimes you get these moments where everyone is just like, oh my goodness, look at what's happening. And everything just bursts out into joy and tears. People were crying. People were crying. People were crying. It was amazing. And you see YouTube videos, people in these YouTube videos, just who were watching at home, people are sobbing. Tears coming down their faces for Final Fantasy VII Remake. We did not get a release date yet, but be sure that everyone's going to be watching this like a hawk. I am worried to an extent because, of what I said before about hype. Definitely. Mm-hmm. There's always the concern that Square Enix will be like, oh, let's try this and do something that just does not work. So that's a concern. However, I think that Square Enix is going to is going to rock this out. I think that it's going to be a fantastic game because, you know, yes, it's going to be a remake. And they said, I'm looking at VG247, they said, that, you know, we're hitting that age. You know, here's the quote. He said, of all the staff that worked on the original Final Fantasy VII and those who are working on the remake, I'm the youngest one. I'm 45 years old now. If we continued on without doing a remake, Yoshinori Kitase and Kazushige Nojima are well older than me. So they are up in age too. They grew with these franchises too. They were part of this all this time ago. And yes, they're going to do more than just a graphic remake. They said on the same article, if it came down to that, to just graphics, then there wouldn't be a reason to do the remake. But they're going to try some different things with it. But I don't really think that they're going to be doing anything too crazy. They even said that they're going to keep the light-hearted elements, like maybe, I heard that Cloud cross-dressed at one point for some reason.
Yeah, the honey bee in. One of the characters gets kidnapped. It's like a brothel. One of the characters get kidnapped, and you have to rescue her by sneaking into the brothel dressed up as a woman.
Well, I'm seeing a picture of cross-dressed Cloud, and he looks like a pretty girl, I guess. But there we have it. So the lighthearted things. But
the funny thing is that you have to do different quests, and depending on how well you do, you'll get better items. So you might get like old panties, or you might get silk panties, or you might get special, smelly stuff, or you might get a silk wig or a day wig, depending on how well you do it.
So the lighthearted, the nicer things about the game, the more positive things about the game, because I'm hearing that it's kind of a dark game.
Oh, it is pretty dark. So
the things that cheer you up, they're still going to be there. And I think that that's a sign that they're taking into account, hey, these are the things that we should keep in the game. And so there are high hopes for this game all over. People have been asking for this for years, for decades, and it's finally coming. We don't know when, probably 2018, but it's coming. It's coming soon.
I can't believe it. I don't know. It's been so long, and I kind of can't believe it's happening. But again, my husband mentioned something very important, and that is Final Fantasy VII was it was Squaresoft. I believe they were called Squaresoft at the time. That was one of their biggest peaks, and then they kind of slowly dwindled down from there. And I hope this isn't going to be a peak for them where we then see a string of games that aren't nearly as good.
Yeah, that's always a possibility. And especially, there's the question of how do you top that? I mean, the games they produce in the future might be good, but say that this one is just like miles ahead of whatever we expected. How do you top that? So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. I'm finally looking forward to Final Fantasy VII. People have been recommending Final Fantasy to me for a long time, even before I played it. And 7 and 10 were the two that people were like, you've got to play these ones. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
I like 10, but it fell off to me towards the end.
I'm kind of at a point where I just kind of want to be done with it.
Yeah.
I'm told that, I feel like I'm at the end of the game, and I was told by someone at work, well, actually, you're going to have to explore like the whole world, and you just got the ability to fly places, and so now you're near the end of the story, but you're not anywhere near the end of the game, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
And you can play through the temples a second time. Too.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't want to. I didn't like the temple. But that's good to know. We've got to move forward here.
Okay.
Here's what I wrote. Indies or something. Too fast. It was probably a montage. Sony really loves doing montages with music. And so they put out a bunch of indies. Stop it. My cat. Sorry. They put out a bunch of, they listed a bunch of indies, and it just went through bang, 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 and I just didn't take any notes because I'm sitting in the theater. I didn't catch anything. But, PlayStation does love indies, so there we go.
Well, I mean, we were all sitting there in shock.
That's true, too. I think the conversation about Final Fantasy VII hadn't died down yet. And so the indies were kind of where everyone was like, oh my goodness, what did we just see? And no one was really paying attention anyway. But, indies. They're coming. They're here. Another big one came directly after we got a chance to catch our breath, and that was Shenmue 3.
Yeah, that was big.
That was another big one for you, wasn't it, Queen?
Yeah, it was, because I had friends who loved that game. I never really got to play Shenmue, but I had friends, and I would sit and watch them play it on their Dreamcast. And if Shenmue was able to get that much of an impact, being on the Dreamcast alone, we need to see 1 and 2 repackaged for these current systems, so that can hit before Part 3 comes out. We got to reach a bigger audience right now. I mean, I know it already got the funding and everything for Part 3, but there's a new generation right now, and I believe this game could reach out to those people before we release 3.
That would be cool, because frankly, I had never heard of Shenmue before.
Oh, it's old school.
Yeah, it is. I had never heard of this before, and I mean, the reaction was pretty big for it, so I'm interested. I want to know. It doesn't look like a AAA title or anything, but it looks really good based on what everyone's saying about it.
It was pretty much the first AAA title ever.
Well, I mean, right now it doesn't look like a AAA title.
Yeah, but when the first 1 and 2 came out, they were pretty much... I mean, number 1 had a $70 million budget.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty big, especially for those games. Those games typically had lower budgets than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the first game that cost like that much. It was one of the first open world games. It came out before GTA 3. It had a lot more interactive elements in GTA 3 as well, because pretty much anything in the game you can pick up and look at.
Okay.
Anything you saw you could open, any doors, blah blah blah. It was just ridiculous.
After Shenmue 3, we got Batman Arkham Knight, which is coming out in a week or so?
I will have it.
Or is it
2
out
days.
now?
2 days.
23rd.
My cat is playing with something, and I don't know... Why are you even in my room?
Because you have foil, Daddy. I like foil.
They're playing with, like... they pulled, like, a water bottle under my bed, and they're knocking it around, and I can hear it. I don't have a problem with them playing a water bottle. It's just, like... I'm podcasting right now, dude. No, don't look at me like that.
But we're the cats. We're above everything.
So Batman Arkham Knight looked really good. Is there much to say about Batman Arkham Knight that we haven't really heard already? I mean, it's already about to be out, so there's not really a lot of new stuff about it, right?
I was kind of... carry on.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just saying I wasn't really paying attention. I was still hyped about Shenmue when that got announced. Okay. Oh, look, a Batman trailer. What? Kickstarter Shenmue, F5, 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 F5.
Yeah. They got their funding fast, really fast, especially since they had E3 to advertise it. So,
for Batman, I was really excited to see what looked like a spin-off or some kind of DLC that's based off of the fear hallucinations that what's his face induces on. God, I cannot remember his name. He's got a fucking bag on. Is it Scarecrow? Yeah, there you go, Scarecrow. I was totally interested in seeing how that game is going to play out, because those scenes were my favorite scenes from the previous Batman games. We're just seeing the hallucinations and how they played out. They were always so beautifully done and disturbing. And so what seems like an entire DLC or entire game based off of that, I really, really want to see how that plays out.
Okay.
Also, remember it's exclusive to PlayStation.
Woohoo!
Well, Queen's going to get that when her fancy PS4 arrives.
Mm-hmm.
She has the Batman bundle thing.
Which is funny because I'm not even that big of a Batman person, but somebody bought it for me, so I can't say anything.
Hey, you might be.
So
you might be. After Batman, we finally got into hardware, and this is where I was surprised, because I was absolutely certain that Sony was going to talk a little bit about the PS4. They did not. They talked about Project Morpheus. There's a new studio that Sony opened, especially for Project Morpheus. And I don't know if this was developed by that studio, but Riggs Mechanized Combat League. They described it as kind of a MOBA. Looks kind of interesting coming out from Morpheus. They talked about PlayStation Music. They talked about Spotify. They talked about PlayStation View, and I was expecting them to talk about PlayStation View. I think I didn't mention it last week, but PlayStation View, if you don't know what it is, it's a TV service. It's not like, you know, a streaming thing where you can go stream stuff from Netflix or Hulu. It's actual subscribing to TV channels. And it was only available in 2 or 3 cities before. They just added 2 cities in California. And so now it's available in 5 cities. Hooray. You know, 5
Hooray.
out of like 5,000. I guess it's a start.
Yeah, that's weird.
I guess they're still testing things maybe. But PlayStation View, it's a TV service. It looks really good. And now they have added the ability to subscribe to individual channels. So like me, there are only a few channels there that I watch. I don't watch all the channels that I have access to. I only watch maybe 5 of those channels. Shows from 5 of those channels. So I can subscribe to those 5 channels instead of subscribing to a whole array of stuff that I don't want to watch. And, you know, depending on the pricing for that, that is what could set PlayStation View apart from things like Sling TV and apart from things like actual cable services. So, apologies for that background noise. My cats are still going at it. Okay, kitties. But yes, PlayStation View looks really interesting. And if it comes out, then chances are I'm just going to invest in a nice, robust internet connection and leave cable right where it is.
I've already jumped, and I left cable many years ago. I have been living without cable, and my life is actually way better. I have Hulu, I have HBO Go, Amazon, you know, just your general streaming services, and believe it or not, that's enough to keep me happy.
I agree, but for some things, there are some things that cable doesn't reach. For example, I like WWE wrestling, and that's not on Hulu. That's not on Netflix. That's on USA Network. And there are definitely for things like Hulu and whatnot, you have to wait until the next day to get them. But if you're subscribing to the actual channel, that's live TV. So when it's out, it's out. I don't know if there's kind of a DVR thing on it. I haven't looked into it as much as I think I believe I've heard something about a DVR thing for View, but that would just be icing on the cake because I can listen to them, see them whenever I want, and I can see them immediately. I don't have to wait until the next day. So, I mean, PlayStation View, hey, looks good.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Me too. Another Call of Duty, Black Ops 3. It was basically another Call of Duty. I mean, it was war, and it was crazy. I think Crystal looked at me and said, you know, I can't really tell what the heck is going on. It was kind of chaotic. It was just chaos. So,
there was a dude with a metal bar through him at one point. I was like, what?
Yeah, in the helicopter, or a plane, I guess it was. And yeah, he had like a metal bar sticking out of his stomach, and I'm like, oh, he's saying help me, but inside I'm like, don't pull it out, don't pull it out, don't pull it out, because, you know, in medicine, if you have something impaling you, you do not move it. You leave it right where it is, because it could be holding something together inside you, and if you move it out, all hell could break loose and you die.
Yeah.
So
I don't think they had a choice.
No, they didn't have a choice because the plane fell, and so that was it for him. There was nothing that could be done at that point.
Well, my problem with I don't mind a whole lot of violence in my games, but you gotta give me some emotional direction here. I was not sure if I was supposed to feel bad for that guy because the main character started kind of sympathizing with him.
No, it was just, here's a guy who dies. That's a lot of these shooters, like, it's shooter. You know, that's what it is. It's like gratuitous death and gore and violence with no real context.
I mean, that's cool. They were taking such an extended moment with him that I started to kind of get emotionally connected to it. I was like, oh man, I feel real bad for this guy. And then it all fell and just blew up, and I was like, oh, never mind.
And if you think about it, that's how it has to be. That's accurate to real life. And I want to take a moment just right now to just, if any of you who are listening right now is a part of our military, or part of any military for that matter, thank you for all you do, because this is stuff that you see out there. And you see people people that you get to know and people that you love, and things like this happen to them. And that's the whole point of the Call of Duty, is you want to be there for that person, but you have to move on, or you're going down too. You have to move on and take care of what's in front of you. And I think that's just kind of a feature of war, is that you don't have time for emotional attachment. You don't have time to help everyone who's fallen, because the enemy's upon you and you have to go to work. And so if you're in our military, and if you've been through that, or if you know someone who's been through that, oh my goodness, thank you so much, because those are some things that I can't imagine, that people should be going through. But there it is. And you know, the work has to be done, and these are the guys that do it.
Yeah, I totally caught the feels.
Yeah. I did. And if anything, it's like, wow, this is a video game. If only these people could see what it was like in real life. I haven't seen what it's like in real life. But there we go.
No. Yeah, I couldn't tell what was going on in that game. I assume I'm just going to get my ass kicked in by Korean 12-year-olds, so.
Pretty much. It's another Call of Duty, which means our next several NPD episodes will feature a Call of Duty in the top 10, just because it's Call of Duty. We got a brief glimpse of a game called Until Dawn, and that's all I wrote. I had no clue what it was. I think it was part of a montage, maybe. And then we got, like, the happiest guy I have ever seen.
Until Dawn is August this year. It's a survival horror... Well, not survival, but slasher horror game.
Okay. And,
August 21st, I think it is.
And then we got, like, the happiest guy ever. You could tell, because he worked at Disney. And all those people are happy. I don't know why they're happy. I don't think they know why they're happy, but they are happy people. At least the ones that are not, like, entry level. I think they're kind of pissed.
Yeah.
But, I think Disney fired a bunch of them once because they refused to wear dirty costumes. And it blew up in Disney's face, and there were lawsuits, and now they're working there again with back pay for, like, a year. So, there's that.
Yeah.
But that's Disney. The guy was so happy, and he came out to announce... There was some kind of teaser for Star Wars. And so we were like, okay. And then he came out and he very enthusiastically announced Star Wars Twilight of the Republic and Star Wars Rise Against the Empire. They were kid games. They were kid games. And everyone kind of groaned in the theater, and, you know, and people joked, Game of the Year! Every little feature he announced, oh my goodness! And that was kind of funny.
Well, I mean, it's a gaming conference. They gotta cover a lot of ground, even if you're not interested in it. They have to cover it. Mm-hmm. And the whole Skylanders-esque Disney Infinity collectible character thing, it's hot right now. It is. So
I do have a problem with a lot of people saying, oh, this guy was a joke, this is crap. Because he came out here with a certain intention, and that was to sell this game to kids and families. Okay? A lot of people were like, oh, this game sucks. Well, it's not for you. You're not its target audience. The target audience for this game is kids and families. And for a game for kids and families, I thought this was great. You know? It's not something that I would buy for myself. But if I had a kid and I felt like, hey, you know, son, it's time for you to meet Star Wars, I would probably buy this for him. You know, I'd buy this game for my kid. I wouldn't buy it for me. So it was for the kids. You know, leave him alone. He came out and he did his job, and he did it with, like, the best smile on his face ever.
Yeah, he did. He was so enthusiastic. Mm-hmm. Everything was just, and check this out, guys, and oh my god.
He was so happy. What did you think of, are you going to buy this game, Ben? Where did he go?
I was having a sneezing fit, sorry.
Oh, a sneezing fit. Oh, well, welcome back. Did you survive?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, cool.
No, I won't buy it.
I hate sneezing fits.
Yeah, no, I won't be buying it.
You won't be buying it?
No.
Okay. But for kids,
try to stick away from those Skylander-style games.
Oh, there was some Skylanders in a different conference. And then there were two more things in the conference. We finally got a look at Star Wars Battlefront, which is what we were expecting when Disney Infinity came up. We got Star Wars Battlefront. It
looked
good. It looks
I don't
good.
even like Star Wars that much, and I'm beginning to give it a chance, especially with all the Star Wars hype going on right now in Orlando specifically. We all know Disney is probably on the verge of announcing, a big Star Wars land out here, and there's a new Star Wars movie coming out at the end of the year. There's a lot of stuff going on with Star Wars, so I think I'm going to sit down and give it a chance, as well as this game. The game looks like fun.
It does. You heard that little Skypey sound. Ben's gonna go for a little bit and hopefully return. If we lose him, we'll send a goat, and he will return. So Star Wars Battlefront, did we get a release date for that?
Battlefront, I didn't even check. The release dates, they announce them, and then they just like are in one ear and out the other for me. They really are.
I wanted Ben to be...
except for Fallout.
I wanted Ben to be here for this last one, so that's kind of a shame. But let's do this. Uncharted 4. Finally, we got some more information on Uncharted 4. And it started in kind of a dark little gritty area, which is no surprise if you've already played Uncharted in the past, because Uncharted, there are a lot of colorful places, but sometimes you go into dungeons, sometimes you go into caves, sometimes you go into castles, and you have to do puzzles and all this sort of stuff. And so that's where it looked like it was. You were in some place, probably searching for an artifact, and then the doors open and you're in this little marketplace, and it's colorful and it's bright and it's sunny and it's beautiful and there are people everywhere. And then Nathan Drake stands there and does nothing, and the trailer starts all over again, and it's hilarious.
Oh, it was so funny because, and up to that point, I was like, man, all the tech demos have gone real smooth. Oh, there it is.
There it is. there was one. An Uncharted 4, I think, got the failure last time, where he fell through the physics, fell through the graphics. Mm-hmm. So, but they started it over, and this time it worked, and it looked absolutely beautiful. For the first time they did driving. I don't know what it is with driving, because you have to be so careful with driving. Watch Dogs did driving in its game, and there was a problem with it because you can't just drive. With an actual car, you have very sensitive controls. Everything's relative to how hard you press the gas, how far you turn the wheel. For a controller, when you're driving, it's literally go, stop, left, right. And at least for the most part, there are some little things you can tweak. But Watch Dogs really showed that when you're driving, you have to consider your environment, because you cannot go through the streets of Chicago at 100 miles an hour and expect not to crash into stuff or expect to make a perfect turn. It just probably isn't going to happen because there's too much crap around you. And so I hope that Naughty Dog considered this when they added driving into this, because they were swinging through these places, through these streets that I might not even have noticed. I might have just gone a completely different way. And they said, you can do that. There isn't just one way to get there. You can go whichever way you want. But I just hope that when they did the controls, they considered the environment, because that plays a big part in how well a driving game works. But it looked like Uncharted. It looked fantastic as always. QueenQ said that Nathan Drake was hot, so that was a good moment.
He is hot like Chris Redfield.
I think it's interesting because Uncharted 4 is a game that shows a little more age on his face than in previous games. So I'm interested in what you think of Mr. Drake in previous games when you get your PS4 and the Uncharted
it's on
collection.
that backlog.
It's on that backlog. Move it ahead. That's a game that you want to experience. That's a game you want to play. So move it near the top of the backlog, if you can, if possible.
Heck yeah.
If possible. Uncharted 4. I was really surprised that we did not get any information on the PlayStation 4 hardware. Sony did not address the PS4 hardware at all. We were expecting sales figures. We were expecting maybe a price drop. We got nothing, which is interesting. And I'm concerned for PlayStation right now. I feel like they're getting too comfortable, because if you look at Xbox is a company that has been forced to consider every way possible to add value to its system because of its less than stellar launch. Since then, they have been like, okay, how can we convince people to buy an Xbox One? And they have been adding value after value after value to the Xbox One. And meanwhile, they've done the price drops. They've done the limited editions. They've done all that stuff. And PlayStation's pretty much just watched. PlayStation's... Oh, welcome back, Ben. He's back. PlayStation's standing ahead of the pack, and they look for now like they're perfectly content with watching Microsoft catch up with them. And from a business standpoint, I can kind of understand that, because it's like, why spend the money to add this and that when you really don't have to? You're already in the front of the pack. You can squeeze a little more money out of this. Well, at the same time, that kind of hurts your reputation. At the same time, more people are falling for the competition instead of for you. You know, don't forget that this is a very polarized industry, so you can't just throw that at it. You have to really consider your audience. And right now, you know, not a single price drop, no 1 terabyte PS4, all the speculation about the PS4 hardware, none of it came to pass. At least not that I saw. At least not in the E3 conference. I don't know if they announced something later. I haven't heard anything. I feel like if they had, I would have heard something about it. It would have been a big deal. But nothing. And meanwhile, Xbox is doing the backward compatibility, Xbox is doing the price drop, you know, Xbox is begging you. They're begging you, please buy an Xbox One. You'll like it, I promise. And PlayStation's just like, yeah, you know, go ahead, buy an Xbox One, but we'll sit here right where we are right now, and we're not changing anything. I think that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake. I think that they are missing an opportunity to show their audience, to reinforce that, you know, you went with PlayStation, you made a good choice. They're missing that opportunity. And yes, it is a little bit of a money investment, but it's a money investment that's usually worthwhile. And so I'm just worried that PlayStation's falling into its old habits and starting to get a little too comfortable in its lead.
I was really hoping for the same too, because generally when one conference announces something that big, you know, there's something that kind of matches it or competes with it on the other end. And I was waiting for it too. I was like, oh, are we going to get maybe a little backwards compatibility over here too? You know, like, what's up? Nothing.
I didn't think they'd do backward compatibility for Sony. To be honest, I don't think that they expected Microsoft to announce backward compatibility. I think that came as a surprise to everybody. But, I at least expect them to say, hey, this is where Sony is, you know, this is where we are. I'm not going to say whether or not I think they should announce their sales figures all the time, but I thought that they would. I thought that they might talk about, you know, I thought they might offer a price drop. I thought they might offer a larger hard drive space. I thought they might change something up a bit. PlayStation 4 has been pretty much the same since it launched. There really has not been any change to it since it launched. And whether or not it needs a lot of changes, you know, you can decide that for yourself. But those of you who are listening, but I expected them to do something. I expected them to acknowledge, you know, yes, here's you bought a PS4, you made the right move. I expected them to acknowledge the hardware in some way. They did not. They did not, and they didn't even mention the Vita. The Vita does not exist, apparently. So I was surprised about that, and I'm concerned for PlayStation. I'm hoping that they're not losing sight, despite their success. I'm hoping that they're not losing sight of their audience. That is what happened last time with the PS2 and the PS3, and Sony does not need that for the PS4. Not now, not in the state that Sony is in, where PlayStation is its most successful property. Sony does not need to be putting any risk whatsoever there. They want to keep people happy. They want to keep PS4 as the hottest commodity in gaming. That's what they need. That's what they need, and I feel like they're starting to lose it.
I hope they aren't solely depending on their games to get them there.
Their games are big, but if that's their only thing, no, I mean, you need value. The PlayStation 4 needs value. Games are part of value, but you need to compete. Competition is value. You need to compete. You can't just sit there and say, oh, you know, it's fine that you're selling for $350, that you're adding backward compatibility, that your games lineup is stronger than it was before. That's all cool. We're going to sit here at $400 with our 500 gigabyte hard drive, and you have fun with that. That's not competition. You know, that doesn't do gamers any good. That doesn't make gamers want your console. That makes gamers want the other console that's $50 cheaper with the better features and most the same games.
True.
So, That's exactly what happened with the PS3 and the Xbox 360. They're like, oh, you're going to love the PS3. You're going to love it so much, you're going to get 2 jobs just so you can buy it. Guess what? Joke was on them because ain't nobody got 2 jobs just to get a PS3. Nobody. Okay? And so, and so Xbox came out with a cheaper system with a lot of the same games, not the exclusives that PlayStation was really good with, but a lot of the same games and a good value. And Xbox pulled ahead right away. And that's exactly what's starting to happen here. I'm concerned. I am concerned.
I hope they don't feel like, by simply announcing huge games, I hope they're not treating like Final Fantasy VII or Shenmue. I hope they're not treating these as trump cards. I hope they're just not going to turn around and be like, well, we threw it all out on the table. Like, now go buy your PS4s. It doesn't work like that. You gotta do a little bit more than just that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're not 14 anymore. We're older and we're wiser now.
Is Ben still here? I'll take that as a yes, I guess.
Oh, I hope Ben isn't getting sick.
He was already sick recently.
Oh.
Hello.
He might just be falling asleep. Oh, there he is.
Hello.
There he is.
Yeah, it is 20 to 4 here.
It is.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Well, let's do this really quickly. That was Sony. We've got one more to cover right now, and that would be Nintendo.
Yeah. Can I have a nap?
Yeah, precisely.
Oh, I didn't even watch it. What's going on there?
Well, there were puppets, and the puppets were cool.
I remember that. Yeah.
Reggie Fils-Aimé was there as a puppet. Iwata was there as a puppet. Someone else was there. There were puppets. And so that was kind of a nice little thing. Reggie Fils-Aimé come up and said the theme of the whole thing was transformation. Nintendo is transforming. The franchises are transforming. And then they started with Star Fox, and we were like, okay. I was like, okay, Star Fox. It looked really good. They did like a developer story thing a few times throughout the conference about different games, and you got to hear kind of the idea behind the game. It was kind of boring, but kind of interesting at the same time. It's a good opportunity to hear what goes into creating these games. And so Star Fox was announced, and it's called Star Fox Zero, and that was cool. And then Mario Brothers. It was their 30th anniversary, and there was a little quick mention of Mario Maker, and then we went straight to Amiibo. They didn't follow up on Mario Maker right away, but we started talking about Amiibo, and they're making a new Amiibo hybrid. You flip a switch, and it's a Skylander. You flip it again, and it's an Amiibo. So now there's that. And, there's a Magma Bowser in Skylanders Superchargers.
Now you should be twice as disappointed about not being able to get those amiibos.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's you lose on an amiibo and you lose on a Skylander. So there you go. You lose. Congratulations.
All around.
I found this part really interesting. During the whole... Reggie Fils-Aimé was there. He was talking to someone from the studio behind Skylanders Superchargers. And here's what he said. He said, Nintendo's usually protective of its franchises. It likes total control. What was it like working with a company like Nintendo? And the guy, his name was Karthik, he said, well, Nintendo said to do something new. And I could just picture them scripting that. I could picture them sitting there writing in the studio and saying, how can we make it look like Nintendo's just a nice guy? Just have Reggie come out and say, oh, we're really protective and we like total control. Go tell all the people how we encouraged you to do new things. That's what it felt like. At least to me. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, I don't know. But I can't imagine why Reggie Fils-Aimé would say that. It's true. It's absolutely true, and it's good to know that Nintendo acknowledges that. I don't understand why that question was part of the interview. It kind of came out of left field. It came out of nowhere. So, there wasn't really a lot of context around it. So I'm questioning his motive for putting that in there. But nonetheless, there it is.
We know what happens when Nintendo doesn't keep control. We get Zelda on the CDI. Oh.
The horror.
Oh, man.
I don't know if you've ever seen it, but no. Bad game.
Have not seen it.
Excuse me, princess.
The old cartoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No. So yeah, Nintendo, you can keep as much control over the franchise as you want.
yeah, you do it. I just don't understand the reason for this little scene in here with Skylanders, but there it is. Zelda, we got Zelda Triforce Heroes, which is coming out on fall 2015 for the 3DS. And it was like this little cartoony kind of Zelda thing where there were multiple links. And the focus is on multiplayer and co-op. And that was kind of cool. And then they
Reminds me of a sequel of Four Swords.
Yeah, yeah. And then they talked about Hyrule Warriors Legends, which is coming out for 3DS in Q1 of next year, 2016.
I'll buy that.
It's kind of like the original Hyrule Warriors, but it's for the Wii. That was for the Wii U. This one's for the 3DS, and it looks kind of good. We did not.
This has 2 new characters as well, but they will also come to the Wii U when the 3DS version comes out.
Oh, okay, cool. We did not get Zelda for the Wii U, which was a big deal. Everyone was expecting Zelda for the Wii U to be there, but it was completely absent. It was not there at all. So
I'm going to say this here now. It will not be on the Wii U next year.
It will not be... Zelda won't be on the Wii U next year?
No, it'll be on the NX, or whatever it's going to be called eventually.
Oh, the NX.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that happening, because they did say at the beginning, you know, hey, we have NX, but we'll talk about that more next year. So I could totally see that being on the NX.
I can either see it being like Twilight Princess, where you had the GameCube version and the Wii version, or I can see the Wii U version just being completely scrapped and going straight to the NX.
Yep. Okay, then we got Metroid Prime Federation Force and Metroid Prime Blast Ball.
No, we didn't. Those games don't exist.
Coming to the 3DS in 2016.
No, they don't. No.
Oh, man. Gary, I'm going to sneeze. I know I'm going to sneeze. Oh, no, guess what? I'm not going to sneeze. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Gary did not like this, as I said earlier from his tweet. He did not like this at all. He said, F Nintendo for this foolishness. Oh, guess what? I sneezed.
Oh.
There it is. I really don't even remember this. I wrote it down. Here it is. I don't remember it, so I guess that shows how much I cared. Fire Emblem Fates is coming out in 2016. I did like Fire Emblem Awakening. That was a great game, so I'm excited for Fire Emblem Fates. Then we got a game from Atlas called FE, and that's all I know about it. There were anime characters, and the whole entire thing was in Japanese. The text at the end was Japanese. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know when it was coming out. All I know is that it's by Atlas, and it's called FE. That's it.
It's called what?
FE. The letters FE.
It's a game?
I guess. I mean, I'm assuming it's a game. It could be a show, or it could be, I don't know what it is. It was all in Japanese, and I don't know how to read Japanese yet. So I don't know why they...
Fire Emblem?
No, Fire Emblem Fates. We already talked about this. This was something different by Atlas.
Oh yeah, that looked pretty good.
Did it? I didn't understand it.
I did understand it, but I liked the animation.
I like the animation.
Graphics are good.
It looked interesting. I just don't have a clue what it is, so I don't know what the point was of putting this in an American, European, like an English broadcast. What's the point of putting this whole Japanese thing in there with no translation whatsoever? What's the point?
Somebody
Because
dropped the
Nintendo
ball.
did games.
I mean, okay. Thank you, Nintendo, I guess. Xenoblade Chronicles X coming out December 4 this year. Is it X or 10? I don't know. I'm just going to say X. Coming out December 4 this year, and it looked good. That was the first game from Nintendo that I felt, I could get into this game. No, I like Star Fox too. And Fire Emblem. But, I mean, this was the only game that felt like, okay, here's a serious game. Let's play. Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. I think I looked at someone next to me and I was like, wait a second, can you tell me what this is? Because I've never played Animal Crossing. But Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, September 15 this year. And then Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival holiday this year. I think it's like a board game type video game. And then, goodness, we got Yoshi's Woolly World, which is the Yarn Yoshi thing, coming out October 16 this year. There was a developer explanation, and it was nice. It was actually nice to see this because, you know, the person behind it, she just likes yarn, I guess, and she happened to create some Yoshi people out of yarn. And someone saw this and was like, hey, let's make a game out of that. That's cool. You don't see a whole lot of stories like that. So I was happy, and I was happy for her. Feels a lot like Tearaway, because Tearaway is everything's made out of paper. Same thing here, everything's made out of yarn. Although here you have like different yarn effects and I guess yarn attacks or whatever. Something of note that they said was the gamer decides the difficulty through decisions on what to do in the game. Like, you can go out, and if you want to go and find all the collectibles, you can find all the collectibles. And, you know, you can decide your difficulty in that way. In other words, it will be like every RPG ever. Not exactly a groundbreaking feature, but thank you for that.
By the way, about that Yoshi thing, I kind of joked about that. And say, the reason why Amiibos are so rare is because that one woman makes all of them.
Exactly. Exactly. But have you seen her yarn? Like, she's really good. I love her yarn. I want one. I want like a physical yarn Yoshi that I can hold in my hand. I'd buy one from her. Those look cool.
You can buy them, aren't they? They're coming out as Amiibos.
Oh, they are?
They're actually
Oh, that's
woolly.
right. They are.
Yeah. They're actually woolly as well. They're not just proper Amiibos.
Yeah, they're actually made of wool, which means people can break them. I'm just gonna keep it where it is. Okay. Yokai Watch looked interesting. Holiday 2015. And then we go into Mario Madness. They talked about Mario. They shoved Mario down your throat. Mario. So Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, which is kind of like a crossover between the Mario Paper game that came out a little while back and different kinds of Mario across the generations, coming out in spring 2016. You have Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, Holiday 2015. Here is where they finally decided to actually talk about Mario Maker, and it looked good. There was a developer explanation that I really liked, where it talked about how they made some decisions in the very first Mario game as far as level design. I really liked seeing that. They talked about how Mario turns into different characters with Amiibo and whatnot. The game comes out September 11 this year. Mario Maker. And then there was like a big old, long, boring Mario music thing. And then they talked about how Nintendo's going to donate ad revenue from videos that you post to Let's Mario to an organization called Operation Smile. Which is nice, but why don't you just make the donation? Like, ad revenue, you're not getting a lot of ad revenue. I'm guessing that they're going to be using the Nintendo Creators Program because they're going to be donating Nintendo's share of ad revenue, they said. So I guess you have to post videos and get people to watch them, and if you do that, then Nintendo's share of whatever ad revenue will go to Operation Smile. You know, if you're going to do philanthropy, just do philanthropy. Why does it have to be tied to this, you know? Why does it have to be tied to let's create ad revenue? You're not going to get that much in ad revenue, you know? So it's not like...
Yeah, that sounds a little sketch.
Doesn't it? And
that's a little sketch.
And speaking of things that are sketch, let's talk about Amiibo for a quick moment. Actually, I need to pull this up because I don't think I was going to talk about this until next week. But while we're talking about this, I'm just going to run through it really quick. There were some pretty sketch sales tactics that Nintendo was using to sell Amiibo. And this is from the Nintendo UK store. And there are some Amiibo that are kind of rare. They're like, I think it says Ike, Lucina, Marth, and Robin. They're sold out on their own. However, they are in stock, but can only be purchased as part of a bundle with something called Codename Steam. On the same note, Kirby and Meta Knight from the Kirby games is out of stock, but it can still be purchased with the Kirby and the Rainbow Curse game. So these Amiibo are going out of stock. If you want them, you have to buy the game in order to get them. You have to buy that bundle. And the website that reported this, enthusiasts.com said that it was sleazy. And I will agree, it's definitely very sketchy. It's a very sketchy sales tactic, especially with all the flack that Nintendo was taking over Amiibo being out of stock, about Amiibo being rare, and especially after pretty much apologizing for making them so rare, they turn around and they use that to kind of sell things. Do you think that this is something that they should be doing? Do you think that this is a reasonable thing for them to do?
Well, they say out of stock as though it were in stock by itself, and was it?
It was. As far as this article says, it was in stock. It says they sold out, but they are still in stock as part of the bundles.
Okay. So did they make like a certain number that were by themselves and then a certain number that were in bundles, and they said, hey guys, you have two options. You can buy the game and get it, or you can buy this by itself. It just, the reason why it sounds sketchy in the first place is because at one point in time it was available by itself, and now you're saying I can only get it with the game. And so I'm a little confused here.
See, that's the question. That's the question. Is it are they doing something legitimate? Is it like, we released both of these at the same time and this just happened to sell out first? Or is it, we're making very limited amounts of this, but we're going to sell this with the bundle so that we sell more bundles? That's the question.
If they took the approach where they were like, all right, well, we made a limited number of these. And once these are gone, you'll only be able to get it with the game. Then it would have sounded sleazy, but a lot less so.
It does. I'm saying this because it also could be just in the way Nintendo Enthusiast reported this. It could be, this person, the author's Elia Pales. It could just be the way Elia saw this and was like, they're trying to squeeze more sales out of the bundles. It could just be the way she wrote this. That we're looking at that makes it feel sleazy. It could be something totally reasonable, but if it's not, then that's gonna be that's gonna be some bad PR for Nintendo, who's already facing a bit of bad PR, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So okay. So then after we talked about the donations, we got another boring Mario montage thing. Lots and lots and lots of Mario. Mario everywhere. This bored me. I was bored throughout most of this conference. I was kind of spacing out. I was trying to pay attention. I was trying to take notes. But for 90% of this stuff, I just did not care at all. And in fact, after this, I didn't really watch any more conferences. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm
surprised you didn't tap out after the puppets, because I was watching part of that with you with the puppets, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, well, when you're in a submission hold, you have to try and crawl to the ropes a little bit and break the hold. You can't tap out immediately. You got to see what you can do first. And I tried, and I got through it, but then I was done. I was like, I've had enough. So that was a shame. I think I saw Pedro at work. And he seemed incensed. He seemed upset at Nintendo's conference. He was not happy. So Gary is not the only one. Nintendo's conference, to me, was boring. I didn't understand some of the stuff in it. I think that they dropped the ball.
I just didn't even watch it.
Exactly. So guys, E3 2015... it's just about over. It's Saturday night right now, June 20th, as I record this. And
it's Sunday morning, 4 a.m.
Yeah, we're going to get done with this because it's 4 a.m. for Mr. Ben.
Absolutely.
But, and this was a long episode. I knew this was going to be a long episode because it's the reaction episode. There's just a lot to go through. So thanks for being patient with us here, Ben. But, my goodness, it's been an interesting E3, a lot of incredible highs, some disappointing lows. But, that's just the nature of the beast, as they say.
I think this was one of the best I've seen in several years.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
What was the last really good one?
Last really good one for me? Definitely not last year. definitely not the year before, so I guess I'd have to go as far as to say 2012, which was the last time I had any fun with E3. Since then, it's just kind of been a disappointment fest. But this year, again, like, something happened. I got to be in a theater, and I got to see the announcement of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was something that kind of came full circle for me in my gaming career, and that was really beautiful. So
it was beautiful. Just the reactions. I'm go to YouTube, check out these reactions.
I will be doing that after this.
Absolutely.
Actually.
We're going to wrap this up, guys, now. We're going on 3 hours. That is a record for 4GO, and one that we will only say for special occasions. We still want to stay at the 1.5 hour mark, because we want this to be digestible. But it was a big weekend, so it was worth going above and beyond. Next week, we will return to our normal format. Do we have a format? We just talk about stuff, mostly.
Yeah.
I think.
Next week, I'd like to talk about Fallout Shelter. I've been playing Fallout Shelter since it got released, and I'd like to talk about it next week.
Okay, we can make that happen. Let's do it.
Cool.
Guys, you can join the party. Follow us on Twitter. I totally forgot to talk about tweets at all. I think at the beginning I was like, we'll talk about tweets as we go. I completely forgot about that. So next week I'll read your tweets, guys. I have not forgotten you. I just forgot what I'm doing. But I'm going to organize this stuff here, and I am going to get this going, and we will tweet next week. We'll read your tweets next week. Follow us on Twitter at 4G-only, number 4, letter G-O-N-L-Y. And join the conversation. I've been tweeting a lot lately, and we will see what happens. I've been tweeting to a lot of people. I've been retweeting a lot of stuff. And it's a lot of fun to get you guys involved and to hear what you have to say. And it's going to be more fun when I read those on the podcast next week. Join us on Twitter. Our email, if you want to contact us, 4gocast@gmail.com. We need support, guys. We are a young podcast, but we are clawing and scratching our way into getting bigger and better and getting more people involved in the magic. We need a little support. It's gotten a little more expensive, even lately. We're in a few more places. I'll get to that in just a moment. If you can support us, we would love you forever. You don't have to do much. You can do like $1 per episode, which is like $4 a month, and I might even make it lower if you want to with our Patreon. Patreon.com/4GO. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's kind of like Kickstarter, kind of a crowdfunding thing, but it's not for like one big old lump sum of money. It's for ongoing projects that need like small amounts at a time. So if you feel like donating something, anything at all, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/4GO, or if Patreon's not your thing, you can use our PayPal, 4gocast@gmail.com. We will give you shout-outs and lots of love and whatever else we can find, but it would help us out immensely. We are everywhere, or we're going to be everywhere, if I can help it. Currently, we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on TuneIn Radio. We are finally on SoundCloud. Yes, we made it. We're on SoundCloud at last. You can find us there at soundcloud.com/4GO. All 15 episodes so far are there, and this one is going to be there too. So welcome if you're listening from SoundCloud. Be sure to leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. SoundCloud's player is just awesome. So we're on SoundCloud. I'm looking at getting us wherever I can. I have us on Spreaker. I want us on iHeartRadio in the future. I want us wherever we can be. I want to make it as easy as possible to find 4GO. So find us wherever you can. Leave us a review, leave us a comment, send us a tweet. We want to be involved with you because we're 4Gamers only. That's just how we roll. Our music this week comes from Overclocked Remix as usual. The intro, which you heard at the beginning and which you are hearing in the background right now, is called Smash Superstars. It's from Super Smash Bros. Melee, which was on the GameCube in 2001, I believe. Was it the GameCube or was it the 64? I don't know. It was remixed by Zircon. And the outro, you're going to hear that in just a little bit. A full song. It's a beautiful song, really. I love it. It's called Death, Rebirth, Life, 1986. And it is from none other than Final Fantasy VII, which first debuted on the PlayStation 1 in 1997. So in 2 years, 20 years since Final Fantasy VII. The remix was done by Anti-Sign. You can find these, listen to them, download them for free in full at ocremix.org, ocremix.org. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are completely done with the E3 reaction episode 16 of 4GO in the books. Tune in next week. We will have a fresh laundry fresh episode of 4GO for you, and we will be back to normal. Until then, first of all, many thanks to you, QueenQ, and to Ben for staying up.
Anytime.
The Queen of Gods and Monsters and the cup of hot chocolate on a cold night, Ben Schillerberg Hall. I'm just going to keep giving you nicknames. That's what I'm going to do. Until next week, guys, stay safe, game hard, and lots of love from
14 goats on top.
AKA 4GO.